Hello everybody, Bonada, and welcome to your Alpha live stream of round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprint Championships, coming to you live from Glan-Y-Gors Park in North Wales. My name is Howard Mitchell, alongside me is Andrew Mather. We're Double Dash Motorsport Media, and it is our pleasure and privilege to once again be with you to talk you through the action for what promises to be another enthralling day of racing here in the Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship. This one is a bit of a driver's favourite. This one, actually, discussing with Andrew. Actually, we haven't been here in a little while, but fantastic circuit here at Glan-Y-Gors. Obviously, Llando as well, the other Welsh circuit that we visit on the Club 100 calendar. But this one, as I say, very popular with the drivers, is GYG, 1.1 kilometres. And you know what? We've been pretty blessed with the weather as well. It's absolutely gorgeous conditions here today in the county of Conway. Sort of just on the border, actually, between Conway and Denbighshire. And the famous thing of this circuit is as you're going down the back straight, you can see Snowdon itself off in the distance, and you certainly can today. Beautiful clear skies over the circuit as these drivers will be competing in their sprint heats and trying to set themselves up as well as they can for the finals. It's going to be the heavyweights out first today, and then we'll be moving into the lightweights this afternoon. 9 heats in each of the classes with the 3 trophy finals then. We'll get through all of that. Right now, though, it's time to look ahead to heat number 1 of our heavyweights. Let's take you through your grid then for the first race here today at Glan-Y-Gors. Tim Hill is going to start this one from pole with Steve Bosley alongside. Steve Lindley and Stephen Netting are on row number 2 with Kai Crawford and Jacob Harris on row number 3. It'll be Calm Bennett and Samuel Bensley next, with Anwar Barul Smith, championship leader, coming into today in the heavyweights, and Miguel Hall rounding out the top 10. Harrison Wedgbury and Luke Pullen will be next up, and then it will be Jonathan McLeod, Lewis Ridd, that's your 7th row. Andrew Cherry and Lawrence Cheer are next. Richard Newton and Luke Elliott on row 9. Tom Stalker and James Radovich round out the top 20. And then Cody Richards rounds out the 21 karts that will be contesting this first race of the day. Not the first race of the weekend. Club 100, of course, running its standard package of the SP60 format and endurances on the Saturday. Myself and Andrew contesting the endurances yesterday, having fun driving around this circuit. As I say, it's been a while since we've been here, particularly been a long time since I was driving this circuit, and it really is a fun one, this. The long, fast straight of the first sector gives way to quite a technical finish to the lap. Plenty of height undulation as well, as is befitting of the rolling hills and slopes of this part of the world. Really beautiful part of the world, this. If you've never been out here, I highly recommend it. Say Snowdonia National Park off in the distance there as well. So really, really nice to be here once again. And yeah, a difficult lap, I think, to string together. And I think at that point it's a good time, because we're also live on our Double Dash Motorsport Media channel, as I'm sure we're about to be informed. Time to welcome Mr. Mather. Hello,
good
sir.
Morning, everybody.
You're
hope you're all doing well. We're back here again, another Sunday at GYG, and the weather's a lot better than we had this time last week for Super One, and the drivers will very, very much be non-forecast. I can't quite believe I'm saying that, but
No.
There are the drivers ready in pit lane, or just about ready in pit lane to go out for the first heat, and we are live as well over on the DDMM YouTube channel, so if you particularly want to look at our faces and Darren and Morgan working hard in the background, I'll do that so you can't see him waving. There he is. Yes, we've got that facility for you today. It proved very popular a few weeks ago at the Buckmore Park 24 hours. And if you're tuning in once again, it's your first time back with an Alpha live stream since the Buckmore Park 24 hours. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing and joining us here on the channel for some more karting action. And if you're completely new around here, even bigger welcomes. Great to have you on board. So make sure you've clicked that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. And to our regular viewers, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Lots going on today. Some different streams going on. We need your help. Push the stream. Share it out, because we want to get everybody watching this one. And then they can watch British Championships later. And they can watch Rotax Max
It's all on capture.
Switzerland at Frankfurter later on.
This is the great thing about the great thing about the Alpha Live channel, right? You can watch it all back. So,
shall we talk through some kind of notes and where we are so far?
Absolutely.
So this is round 3 of 11 for the full season. The last time we had a live streamed round was round number 1 at Buckmore Park, but we've also been as a series to Wilton Mill since. And as we are going into, what shall I do next? No, I'll do a last time out. So last time out in heavies, we had Anwar-Barul-Smith winning the round ahead of Adam Wright and Johnny Elliott. That was your 1, 2, 3 in C1. Kurt Holmes took the win in C2 ahead of Dan Underhill, who I was in the restaurant and the bar with last night watching Formula 1 qualifying. Was very pleased to see an Aston Martin get into Q3.
Yes. Yeah.
But he was second place in C2. Steve Lindley was third. And your top 3 in C3 were Andrew Hicks, Richard Neal and Tom Stalker. Championship standings as they stand at the start of proceedings here today, still very early in the season, of course. Anwar-Barul-Smith leads on 377 points. Kurt Holmes is second on 368. Richard Allen third on 367. Reigning champion Joe Holmes is fourth on 361. Chris Alcock completes the top 5 on 359. Adam Wright is next up on 356. There's a bit of a drop of 18 points back to Johnny Elliott in 7th there on 340. Steve Bosley and Mikey Nichols close there on 339 and 338 as well. And just to mention through your C2s, Kurt Holmes already mentioned is your C2 leader. Bosley second, Nichols third. Super heavyweight, we should mention their situation at the start of the day. 11th overall in points is Bill Taylor, last year's super heavyweight champion, leads at this stage of the season again in super heavyweights on 336 points. He's got an 18-point lead as we start here today over Nicholas Walker, who's 15th overall in points. Lee Henderson is currently third in super heavyweight points on 276, 26th overall. And your top 3 at the moment in C3, Richard Neal on 262, Andrew Hicks on 255 and Benjamin Wootton on 254.
Absolutely, and just as a reminder on the classes as you're watching the stream today, if you're seeing red number plates out there, I think they're running red ones today, that is class 1 within our heavyweights. Classes 2 and 3 are running the blue number plates, and if you see a green number plate, that is our super heavyweight subclass. They're all scored together, so each position counts. But come the end of a round, come the end of a season, we have champions and winners to crown in each of those subclasses. There is Anwar-Barul-Smith. This is just the warm-up laps at the moment. If you think we're being a little bit disinterested, this is not racing action yet, but we are getting very close to that. In just a couple of laps' time, they will form up into the rolling up laps. And I suppose we should mention as well, reigning champion Joe Holmes, not yet, has not yet had the momentum quite to the likes of Anwar. I say that only because he finished 6th back at round 1 at Buckmore and 5th in the final race at Wilton Mill. Don't get me wrong, I'd be very happy with that as a season, but it is going to be interesting today. Move on up, taking some wins yesterday was Joe in the endurances with the G3 Pro team in that. So how's he going to be around here? Can he start to get some real momentum behind his championship bid?
I'm going to hit you with some more stats, some GYG stats.
Okay.
Joe Holmes is beatable around here because the last time we had a sprints visit to Glan-Y-Gors was the 17th of June 2018. We were sat, well actually no, at this point on a Sunday we were in the previous era of sprints, so this is going back a fair bit. So you didn't have C1s and C2s and C3s, you had the elites and clubman sprints separate to the lightweights and heavyweight opens. But for what it's worth, on that day, on the 17th of June 2018, the elite sprint final result looked like this. Robert Newman was third that day, so he is statistically beatable around this circuit.
There we go. So it really is going to be an interesting one, and a lot of drivers, because of where this round is in the UK, you get a lot of drivers, and because of how nice it is in this part of the UK, you get a lot of drivers coming up and making a real weekend of this. So a lot of the drivers competing today have already got their eye in by taking part in those championships yesterday. I think here, as we would come to expect, a standard from this Club 100 field, but I think this could be a very tight. I mean, the qualifying times in the endurance round yesterday, for example, extremely tight on pace. So this is going to be an interesting one, and it's about to get going right here, right now. Tim Hill on your left, driver's right. Steve Bosley running very well in Class 2 so far this season on your right, their left. Away we go. Engine notes rise as they head through turn number 1 and onto this long straight. And this is going to be a real feature today, is slipstreaming down this straight as they head towards the top of the hill called Spoon. It's been a good start there for Steve Lindley. He's been able to get up into second place as they all swoop round up to the top of the hill now. And the braking zone, to get it right, the first major braking zone here, and they head onto the back straight. We've got, I think that might have been Jacob Harris taking to the grass there as they head down the Dragon Straight and through the carousel. And then they'll come into this technical section here through the compressions and the complex known as Devil's Elbow. Through they go, and then they'll be braking into this left-hander. And through this dip you can see there through that corner. That's quite a height change when you're in the kart, and through this tricky last corner to maximise it onto the start-finish straight. And at the end of the first lap, it's Tim Hill in first, and as I say, Steve Lindley, who managed to get himself up into second place. And early on here, we've got a bit of a breakaway group of 4. Steve Bosley and Khan Bennett are in third and fourth place here. Bennett there trying to get the switchback out of the Spoon complex and down towards the carousel. Is he going to have a run on Bosley? He's going to be on the outside. This is the 22 on the 20, but he can't find a way through there. He'll have a tighter line coming out of the carousel, and this might set him up nicely for the compressions. And Samuel Bensley is not too far behind them. Penalty for Harrison Wedgbury in 7th place. That is for an ABC bump and pass, ABC being advantage by contact. So at some point he has got by in a way that was deemed a little bit too rough and ready for the clerk of the course. On to lap number 3, and Lindley is in the slipstream of Tim Hill, but he positions his kart well, does Hill, just to deter any moves on the right-hand side. But it really is going to be, I mean, we talk so often about sort of pack racing when we're talking about Club 100 sprints, you know, working together, as there is, that's Harrison Wedgbury trying to get by on Samuel Bensley and has got the job done. And actually that's going to give the opportunity to the likes of Anwar Brule-Smith and Lewis Ridd as well. So it was a costly moment there for Samuel Bensley in the number 88. I know he's managed to keep Lewis Ridd behind him actually for now. You can see Anwar Brule-Smith there in the number 2, now trying to find a way by on Wedgbury, who's carrying that penalty for bump and pass. So 4 positions will be added to wherever the 105 driver finishes at the end of this race. And once again, Lindley's going to get his nose alongside Tim Hill, but Hill's going to position his kart on the inside. Blind braking point that you come into here for the Spoon. It's over the crest of this hill. And that's a move by Wedgbury on Bennett, I think, there. And Anwar Brule-Smith's going to take advantage of that as well. So actually, good stuff here from Harrison Wedgbury. He's absorbed the pressure well. And he's putting karts between himself and the pursuing Class 1 drivers behind him. So it's now Wedgbury in 4th ahead of Bennett with Anwar Brule-Smith and Lewis Ridd. Ridd has got through on Bensley there. So you can see that the red-plated number 9 kart is again on the tail of Brule-Smith in the number 2. That's in their battle over 6th place. But I think they're working together for now to try and move themselves up towards the top of this field as they go on to lap number 5.
Everybody having a little bit of a wave each other so far this morning here in heat number 1. Very interested to see how Steve Bosley gets on today. Another driver who has a good record around this circuit. Going back to that previous visit in 2018 in the old style of competition. Steve Bosley was second in the Heavyweight A final on that particular day of history, as Wedgbury looking to the outside with Steve Lindley.
And everyone back to Miguel Hall in 9th place is now a part of this pack. In fact, there is Bensley trying to fight back against Lewis Ridd, and that's going to lead to contact, and it's going to put Anwar Brule-Smith out wide through Devil's Elbow. And that was a in the 88 and Anwar Brule-Smith in the number 2. And we will keep an eye on whether there's a contact warning that's just been shown to Bensley, which would suggest that that's all that's going to be. And there's a penalty coming for Harrison Wedgbury for radiator flap. So, and that's a big moment for Wedgbury trying to get by on Bosley. And that's going to allow Khan Bennett in the 22 to get all over the back of them. And actually, Lewis Ridd is the main beneficiary of that. Reads it brilliantly and gets by. It was about 3 carts he got by in about as many corners there for Lewis Ridd. So brilliant moment there. That's allowing these two to get away at the front. And I'm not sure I finished the thought a moment ago that this is all going to be about racing as a pack and working together because of the long straights here at Glan-Y-Gors and that slipstreaming effect that you get right from this next corner they're going through now. The final corner is basically the start of the next lap. It determines how well you're going to run onto this long straight. And with the top 2 now breaking away, it's going to be difficult for the likes of Lewis Ridd to catch up onto the back of them and make something of it as the front.
You've got to be patient around this circuit because you can lose so much so quickly. And if you do lose that toe, it really, really does cost you. Steve Bosley and Miguel Hall fighting there. Interestingly, Lewis Ridd, even though he had to...
positioning of his kart throughout this race, just to deter Lindley from making a move, has been brilliant. You can tell that he's familiar with this circuit and knows where the risk points are. He's just keeping a tighter line over the crest of the hill and breaking into that spoon complex. That's serving him well. And we're only going to have this in one more lap. But Lewis Ridd has reeled them in third place. You can see now it is actually a 3-horse battle for the lead. And you can see there Tim Hill taking that shallower line. But Lewis Ridd is now trying to get the switch back to give himself a better run down this next straight.
Tim Hill has not had a heat win so far this season. Steve Lindley and Lewis Ridd behind him have had 1 apiece. Lindley's the last time we were in front of the Alpha Live cameras at Buckmore Park. Down leads by quarter of a second or thereabouts over Steve Lindley. Lewis Ridd is there as well. Steve Bosley is coming back into play. Hill will surely go defensive again as they come over the rise into Spoon. Does that well. Ridd's up the inside there of Lindley. Goes for second place. Brilliant move there by Lewis Ridd. Now, what can he do about Tim Hill? Down into Carousel. Very tricky to get side by side if you haven't got the run off of Spoon. Tim Hill will go defensive again as they go through compression. He's just got to pick his line here and control this one and not give Lewis Ridd that opportunity to get by. He's done that very well through the initial part of Devil's Elbow. We have seen moves into the final corner. We saw some last week. Is there going to be one here, or is Tim Hill going to take his first victory of the season?
Heavyweights and super heavyweights. Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 2 of round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 pole with Simon Kavanagh alongside Lenny Wood and Gerard Moore are row number 2 with Joe Holmes and Stuart Kirk on row 3. It'll be Alex Pritchard and Jack Cameron Drayton next with Dave Pethers and Adam Wright to close out your top 10. Anthony Ridd and Alexander Lamin are row 6. Then it's going to be Richard Allen and Mikey Nichols, Tim Dorr and James Antwis, and then it's going to be Shane Cotter and Toby Sutton on row 9. And Ben Wotton to round out the 19-cart field taking to the track here. So if you're somewhat new to this, not everybody contests every single heat in this format. We're going to have 9 heats. Each driver will take part in 3 of them. Across those heats, they'll try and accumulate as many points as possible because championship points, but also because that helps determine the grids for the trophy finals. We're going to have the 3 trophy final races. We're going to have finals C, B and A. And if drivers have a terrible time of it in their heats, they have an opportunity for redemption by being promoted up through those finals. Grid positions for these heats are random as well. So across their 3 heats, each driver will have the same average starting position.
Some big hitters in this one. Reigning champion Joe Holmes, as mentioned. Richard Allen in there as well. But also in C3, we've got our driver in 3rd place at the moment in C3, Benjamin Wotton. And also good to see, I saw Darrell Lowe very briefly in the paddock this morning. Good to have Darrell back after Lindley, as well, which has been very potent recently. So all drivers beware. We did test this theory 2 weeks ago. Cake stops it. So we are turning this broadcast into test match special. Bring your cakes, make your peace offerings, and you won't get cursed. Because someone will at some point today.
It's spreading as well. We'll be racing later today. Our endurance teammate Andrew Ward, he was doing them on the road.
He's always
over
cursed.
here. It may have been because I was in the car. I don't know. It's spreading. We've come out with in earnest with the commentators' curses so far in 2022. As the in the back this part of the world, it's great to be back at this circuit. Really nice weekend that everyone's been having.
The YouTube chat over on the DDMM YouTube channel, that was plus 10 positions in total for Harrison Wedgbury in heat number 1. To Ben Bennyworth as well.
Pre-penalty? Sorry.
Cone, contact, etc.
Oh, sorry, right, I see. Yes.
Hello to Ben Bennyworth. In fact, Dave's just answered your question there, Ben, of how many penalties. But yes, that is how that's panned out, and we'll keep abreast of the situation as we cross the day. Grid now forming up behind the pace carts for heat number 2, 7 minutes on the clock. I don't know if we've mentioned this already. 9 heats in wave. Actually, no, he's not giving us a wave. He's giving Barnaby a wave there. There you go. But yes, no, everyone's just moving into the correct position. Stuart Kirk moving through there in the blue and white suit. Adam Wright as well. We might just about have everybody in position for the start of this one. Very quick Club 100 action for the start of the Club 100 Cadet Championship. We'll also have coverage of the junior.
Cheer for Club 100. Really interesting and looking forward to that. We're good for the start. Darrell Lowe will lead them away in the number 36. It's a good start from Kavanagh on the left-hand side of the grid, though, as they come onto the Dragon Straight for the first time. And look out for Lenny Wood as well. The number 12 is who's that going cross-country. That's an unusual place to end up off the road so early on as they swoop through to the top of the hill. And that looked like the number 23. Yeah, that was not the right start for Anthony Ridd at all there. I really didn't catch what caused that. And there's that Stuart Kirk as well.
It was, yeah.
Off as well. Meanwhile, Joe Holmes here making early progress by on Lenny Wood. That's for second place. As they come in, there's a bit more jostling in this one. That's a moment as well there for the 85 of Jack Cameron Drayton.
Yeah, and out on the grass there. In fact,
that's Cameron Drayton again.
Cameron Drayton, the number 85. And the trouble is, you can quite clearly see on the camera, the level of the land slopes away there down. So once the black suit and the light blue helmet.
Holmes a man on a mission here, though, in the wheel tracks of Darrell Lowe in the early parts of this lap. Alex Pritchard a bit of a distant third at the moment, but he'll try and recreate what was done by Lewis Ridd in the previous race. And here is the move for the lead into the carousel. Nicely judged there from Joe Holmes. Takes himself past Darrell Lowe and to the head of the field.
It's been a strong season so far for Joe Holmes in terms of heat results.
Yes.
Finals where he's not had the final positions that he would expect, as the number 69 of Moore looks down the inside there for a move, and that's the problem. It's a very tricky area of the circuit to get a move done there through Devil's Elbow.
Side by side, though, between Simon Kavanagh and Moore there. And I think that did go the way. It did. Kavanagh got through, and so too did Mikey Nichols. So definitely an unusual place to see the moves, but they made it work as Richard Allen is looking for a way past Gerard Moore.
Very interested to see how Simon tuned into the circuit, because he was here last week as well. He's racing in Rotax 177 in Super 1 last weekend.
Allen's got by there on Moore, and it allows Dave Pethers as well to take an opportunistic move as well just before they get to the carousel. But Pethers has also picked up a penalty for forcing a driver wide, so that's 2 positions, I believe, to be added to wherever he finishes in this race. You'll see that one on the DigiFlag as they come round this time through, as they head through Devil's Elbow again. This is the 12 of Lenny Wood having to defend here against Simon Kavanagh in the 83. And there is a move into the final corner, but are they both going to hold each other up? That's like Christmas come early for Mikey Nichols, and it's very wide as well there for Kavanagh. That was a bit of a heart-in-the-mouth moment, and he's lost out heavily there, and that's exactly what I mean about this Dragon Straight here. It's a critical part of the lap, because it's all about the slipstream, and it's all about setting up opportunities for this corner here at the top of the hill. Yeah,
and you just lose so much time as Dave Pethers has a little clip of Colin the Cone there. The number 69 goes around the outside. That's Gerard Moore. It's a bit scrappy, this one, so far. Penalty for Lenny Wood with an ABC bump and pass. So it is kicking off a little bit here in the top 10. Richard Allen has managed to weave his way through this. Good move there by Adam Wright in the number 4 down the inside. That's the thing. You've got to be very brave. Early commitment to getting the move down the inside on that left hander, that initial bit of devil's elbow.
In a way, this feels like quite an Adam Wright drive. He's sort of slowly but surely, quietly coming into it here.
Yeah.
And this is what we expect from him. He's that consistent, both in terms of racing and in the championship as a whole. He's always there, is Adam Wright. Very consistent driver, and so too we see here. He's just worked his way gradually up this one. He's bringing Mikey Nichols in the number 10 along to the party as well. I guess the only thing now is with 3 minutes to go, have all the sort of ruckuses that were going to happen. Probably not, but I think he needs to just have the drivers in front of him come back to him a little bit more if he's going to make more progress. Joe Holmes still leading this one. 1.5 seconds is the gap. Actually, relatively quiet one here now. This is going to be the opportunity for Anthony Ridd to get by on Lenny Wood. You would have thought he's going to be in the slipstream up the Dragon Straight here.
Got to be brave over the hill. The kart goes light, and then just as you go to that brow, you've got to get on the brakes. You'll see the kart squirming. Down the inside goes Ridd. Has he got the move? Then that's very good. That is very, very nice from Anthony Ridd.
Yeah, that's the textbook move for GYG, to have that slipstream. Good run out of the last corner and stay in the slipstream all the way up that Dragon Straight to the Spoon Complex. And so long as you block off and have good
New fastest lap of the day so far from Joe Holmes, 50.359. His lead is now 2.4 seconds over Dallow. Alex Pritchard in third. Here's your battle for 7th place now, and Ridd really is on the move now. Moore definitely knows that he's there. Ridd's going to move to the inside and try and do it as they rise up over the hill. That's brave, but very well done again from Anthony Ridd. Nothing that Moore can do on the outside there. And Ridd's got it tidy off the corner as well. That's another position for him.
Yeah, really good driving here. Did we see what happened to Dave Pethers to put him that far down?
I think he's pulled off, actually.
Okay.
He's pulled off
the
circuit. It's that situation there as well. You've got to put a lot of trust in the driver on the outside. It is a very, very quick corner where you've pulled the kart in. And if the driver on the outside does put the squeeze on, there's quite a nasty curb on the inside of that corner. So that was well done between Ridd and Moore. There is Simon Kavanagh. Very different conditions, I say. He was here last week for Super 1. Very different conditions. We didn't see weather like this at all last week. It was very drizzly, a bit damp in places.
Just to give a case study here for how costly it can be to fall off the back and not have people to work with. Jack Cameron Drayton, who we saw having that drama early on, you can see him quite a way down here. Given he's a Class 1 runner, this is exactly what we're talking about. If you have a costly moment in the first couple of laps and you fall off the back, you've lost that draft up the Dragon Straight. It's really difficult. So he'll be looking to have a better time of it in his 2 remaining heats ahead of the finals. Meanwhile, Joe Holmes on the final tour of the circuit.
Yeah, and it's been classic G3 Joe so far. Got to the front of the field and has just took the round victory as part of the G3 Pro team. Descending down, sweeping down through Devil's Elbow. Brilliant complex of corners. Absolutely perfect line. Absolutely perfect race for Joe Holmes, who takes heat number 2 convincingly. And that's a bit of a marker down to the rest of the competition so far here today. Darrell Lowe takes a very good 2nd place. Alex Pritchard in 3rd. Richard Allen recovers to 4th. Adam Wright to 5th. Mikey Nichols strong there in 6th place, 2nd in C2. Anthony Ridd with some good moves finishes P7. Gerard Moore is 8th. Lenny Wood and Alexander Lamon complete the top 10 in that heat. Simon Kavanagh 11th. Toby Sutton in 12th, James Antwist 13th. Jack Cameron Drayton will be disappointed with 14th there. 15th for Stuart Kirk. And then winner of the C3s in overall, Tim Dorr there across the line 17th. Shane Cotter and Dave Pethers were completing new runners in that race. We're going to move swiftly on. We'll be back in a short moment with heat number 3.
Here's your grid then for heat number 3. going to be Dominic Valance on pole with Adrian Ray alongside. Row 2 is going to be Daniel Jenkins with James Bate alongside. Lee Barrow and Chris Alcock are row 3. And then it's going to be Vinod Hirani and Matt Griffiths, Simon Lloyd and Callan Sigafus to round out your top 10. Johnny Elliott is next with Damien Smith alongside. Kurt Holmes and Vijay Patel are row number 7. Paul Williams and Josh Pettit are row 8. And then it's going to be Riccardo Vitali and Jonathan Riley on row number 9. Richard Neal and Leon Depries to round out the 20 carts in this one. And I'm going to say this next bit as much as a reminder to myself as Andrew as to those of you watching. Because we're doing the 9 heats, this is going to be our last race where they're doing warm-up laps.
Yes.
After this, all of the drivers will have raced at least one heat. So this is the last time that we're going to see drivers going around and having the opportunity to get their eye in on the circuit ahead of racing, at least until the lightweights this afternoon.
If you're watching on DDMM Cam, you will have had a very quick shot that the lovable, the wonderful Jacob Harris, our colleague in the BUKC, just popped in to briefly say hello. You probably didn't see as well that there was some more former Cardiff people in this. It's a very Cardiff room.
It
is. For
is.
about 20 seconds there, because Matt Isherwood was there as well. But yes, this will be the final run in this first rotation.
Yes.
Go around again.
Yes.
If you're just joining us and you're new to this, each driver races 3 heats, and they start one from the middle. Why have we gone with middle first? What's going on with my head today?
Why not? It's still true.
One from the front and one from the back. Or it could be one from the front, from the back, and one from the middle.
They could.
Middle back.
It is random in that way.
But what it works out is across the races that everybody does, everybody has the same average starting position on the grid, unless you're in C3, and all the C3s as novices start to the back of the field, very similar to owner racing at cadet level. Honda Cadet, for example, do this at a club level, where if you're a novice, start at the back for your heats. But similarly, within those novice grids, you have a front, middle, back of the 4 or 5 novices that you have on your grid, and you also have the opportunity to race up through and get into a B final and possibly even an A final. We have seen it from C3 drivers before. Why do we do that, you may ask? Well, for novice drivers, particularly if they are very inexperienced, angry C1s around them.
As somebody who raced in British University's karting championship, rookie championship, during the period they still did run, or if you're a bit inexperienced, going into turn 1. And this actually, I think, Andrew, not sure we've really mentioned it so far, but I feel like this is a particularly difficult track for the start in a way, because it's not the conventional sort of run towards braking zone or run towards a corner.
It's a long way up to Spoon Corner.
It really is.
The pace kart conditions for the start of this one.
But you still do get people trying to put a move in turn 1, and it can be a very hero or zero stuff early on.
It can, and we saw a little bit of that a week ago. The number 30 of Chris Alcock towards the front of the order in practice at least. So watch out for him coming through. There's the 53 of Dominic Valance. Adrian Ray on the outside in the 97. Under starters orders for 7 minutes here at GYG. Heat number 3 of the day for the heavyweights. Away we go. Good start for those on the pole side of the grid. Chris Alcock in the black helmet already cutting to the inside on the run. The long run up to Spoon Curve we go for the first time in this one, but that has been a very good start, Howard, for Dominic Valance.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I have to say as well, you mentioned Alcock just there before they got going. He read that brilliant. He got over to the pole side of the grid as soon as he possibly could for turn 1, as the cone has gone flying there. Not sure quite who collected it, as it's a bit of pod-to-pod contact between Daniel Jenkins and Chris Alcock there through carousel. And behind him, I think it's that Matt Griffiths trying to make early progress as well. But yeah, brilliant start, as you say, mate, from Valance in that number 53, as it goes 3 wide here into through the compressions and into Devil's Elbow, and that looked like it went the way of Paul Williams there, Andrew, who I think has had a really good start there.
Yeah, really good stuff from Williams. A couple of penalties on that first lap. Vijay Patel has received a bump and pass, plus 4 positions at the end of the race. Matt Griffiths has been the driver adjudged to have taken out the cone on the exit of Spoon. That'll be plus 1 for kart number 18, but it's Valance from Ray. Bate, Jenkins, Alcock, Griffiths is off there.
That's Matt Griffiths.
That is Matt Griffiths. going for some rallying, which is popular in this part of the world, but not in a Club 100 piece of kit. Has come to a stop there, just by the marshal post. That's him very much out of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. You can technically go into the next field if you really want. I mean, I don't fancy your chances having a discussion with JV of Club 100 after that happens.
They are working on an extension.
They are,
yes.
yes.
GYG, but it's not quite ready yet.
No. No, not unless we're going into rallycross. This is Kurt Holmes on the tail of Callan Sigafus for 6th place.
Yeah, really interested to see how Kurt gets on today. He's had a really strong start to the season as he looks down the inside there of Sigafus. Bit of pod to pod, but that's fine for me in my book. 3 second places, sorry, 2 third places. I'll read my notes correctly so far this season. But as I say, he was second last time out in the A final. It's really put a bit of a statement of intent on the C2 title battle so far this year.
Yep. I thought there was the opportunity to Johnny Elliott as well in the number 54. Oh, and there he goes through. That was perhaps not how he planned to do it, though, as he goes 3 wide there. Penultimate corner, that's going to get a little bit tasty. As they come through the final corner, it's gone the way of Sigafus there. And that was opportunity as well for Simon Lloyd in the 73 getting through. But that was a bit of the heart-in-the-mouth moment through Devil's Elbow.
Yeah, I really liked how Simon Lloyd read that situation as a bump and pass has been given to... I did wonder whether there was a little bit of contact there in that phase of play with Johnny Elliott, and that's been adjusted to be the case. I like that from Simon Lloyd. When there was that 3-1 moment, he could have easily slung it in there and be a bit gung-ho. He just held back a little bit, knew that the gap was going to open for him to get one position. That was the key thing at that point. You could always go and try and get the second position, in the next lap or the lap after that. If he'd gone for it there, I think there would have been an incident, and he would have lost a lot more than he could have gained.
Yeah, patience, as you say, paying dividends around this circuit. You've got to be aware of how important, for example, this last corner they're just going through now is, not taking too much of the curb on the exit, because that can get you a curb penalty. Johnny Elliott in the wheel tracks of Daniel Jenkins in that 1-2-2. Up towards Spoon Corner. Can he find a gap on the inside? He's looking for it, but can't find a way through. And is that going to give the opportunity to Sigafus to counter-attack from a few laps ago? Probably not, because he's got his own issues to worry about, which is Simon Lloyd in the 73, hounding the back of his car. Behind them, it goes side by side between Josh Pettit and Jonathan Riley in their battle over 10th place. Riley at the moment, the highest place of the Class 3 runners in this third heat of the day. As once again, this battle over 6th place comes down through the compressions and Devil's Elbow to finish lap number 6.
Yeah, so easy to overcommit into a corner, especially through the second half of the circuit from Carousel onwards. Johnny Elliott trying to line up this move on Jenkins for 6th place. Knows he's got a penalty, so he's got to make it clean now. And down the inside there, that's nice. That's really nice from Elliott and good from Sigafus as well, taking opportunity. Oh, and that was a cone hit, I think, from Jenkins. Sigafus placed his cart round the outside. I would have given that one up if I was Daniel Jenkins, because it's quite possibly going to be a cone penalty coming in that situation. Here's Riley having a look down the inside of Jenkins now. 2.25 minutes to go.
Still Dominic Valance leading this one, Andrew. I'll tell you for free, it'll be his first heat win of the season. I know that for certain, because it's his first appearance of the season in the senior sprints. And this is a cracking drive so far. 2 seconds to the good ahead of Chris Alcock, albeit Alcock has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 50.7. But the track, or the field getting slightly faster in general, a 50.8 from our race leader that last time around.
Riley down the inside of Jenkins there as they go over the top of the hill. He's got the move done. Jenkins has received a cone penalty for hitting that cone there 1 lap ago. That wasn't a commentator curse, that was just an educated prediction.
And Lloyd threw on Sigafus as well for 7th as well through that Spoon section. So change for 7th as well as a change for 9th. Paul Williams there on the tail of Daniel Jenkins now.
Mr. B final. Loves a B final as Paul Williams. Loves getting through them as well. Let's see how he can do here. He can get into the... Well, he's already into the top 10 effectively because of that penalty for Jenkins.
It's not too bad from him so far because this is his rearmost grid position of his heats, I think, this one. So not too bad. We've seen him read a few exchanges really well this race. And yeah, I think he can be fairly happy with this so far.
Battle for 3rd place, Ray and Holmes. Adrian, I've got to say, this is a great drive from Adrian Ray. Super heavyweight driver. Yep. Running up ahead of your C2 Championship leader so far. Oh, he's wide then. That's going to open the door for Holmes to go through. Brilliant stuff. Really like that. Oh, contact and spin from Adrian Ray. I think that was the first one of the day. Last lap board is out for Dominic Valance. Chris Alcock is 1.6 seconds behind. This has been quite a drive from Dominic Valance.
It's easy for me to say a bit of armchair race engineering here, but that was he went too defensive there, did Ray, going into the compressions. If he'd have stuck to the conventional line more, he probably wouldn't have opened himself up to the attack that would have transpired as it did. This man, though, Dominic Valance, what a drive it's been to open up his 2022 season. Class 2 driver is going to come round here, control this one really nicely. Good pressure applied by Chris Alcock in the latter stage of this race. Has brought the gap back down to 1.6 seconds or so, but it's not going to matter because Dominic Valance is going to take the win for heat number 3 of round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Heavyweight Sprint Championship. Chris Alcock finishes second, Kurt Holmes in third, then it's James Bate, Johnny Elliott, Simon Lloyd and Callum Sigafus. Jonathan Riley in 8th, highest of your Class 3 runners. Adrian Ray, still the highest placed super heavyweight runner in that one, but it was a costly moment for him on the penultimate lap, and then Paul Williams rounding out the top 10. Good little race that. Everyone's now raced once. We look ahead to heat 4. Let's have a look at your grid then for heat number 4 of our heavyweights. It's going to be Richard Newton on pole with Richard Allen alongside Jonathan McLeod and Andrew Cherry are on row number 2. Luke Pullen and Lewis Ridd are on row 3. Row 4 will be Stephen Netting and Steve Bosley, then Tim Hill and Kai Crawford ran out your top 10. Jack Cameron Drayton will be hoping for a better race from 11th, with Dave Pellers also hoping for a better run, I imagine, from row number 6. It's going to be Carl Bennett and Alex Pritchard next on row 7. Then it will be Amar Brule-Smith and Ben Wotton, Toby Sutton and Tom Stalker, and James Radovich to round out your 19-car grid for heat number 4 of round 3 of our Club 100 heavyweights, coming to you from a gloriously sunny Glan-Y-Gors Park here in Conway, North Wales, as we are ready to go again. Richard Newton on your left there, right, and Richard Allen going to be one to watch alongside in the number 26. Away we go onto the Dragon Straight, and it is a good start from Richard Allen. The best start I think we've seen from a second on the grid there, as they all were. He's through, round the outside before they've even got to the turning point, up into Spoon. What a run he had. Sort of just ignored it was the start of a race, and he went, okay, I'll take a slightly wider line there. Through turn 1 and made it work for him. That was a brilliant start there, and it's also been a good one for Lewis Ridd, up into 3rd place immediately and trying to get by on our pole to Richard Newton, and he's through, and Steve Bosley trying to follow through as well through the second part of Carousel and has made it stick. But that Andrew Cherry, I think, who's got through. It was indeed the 21 reading that one well and getting himself up into 3rd place. Really interesting few exchanges. You can see Amar Brule-Smith further down the order making early gains here as they work their way down through the compressions for the first time. Alex Pritchard as well, trying to work his way up through from what looks to be his lowest grid position of his 3 heats as they come round to finish lap number 1 that saw a lot of change early on here. It is Richard Allen who leads ahead of Lewis Ridd and Andrew Cherry in 3rd.
So a couple of contact warnings on that first lap for Alex Pritchard, one for Steve Bosley as well. That was really brave from Tim Hill around the outside. There was a moment where they were 3 wide heading towards turn 1. And Tim Hill just held his outside line, carried the speed. There's not a lot of grip outside on turn 1 because we've had a bit of rain over the last week or so. It's a very, very slick line in these dry conditions where you wanted to get the tyres up to temperature. So that was very good from Hill, who's already got a win so far today. But Richard Allen has had 2 heat wins so far. Hasn't had a heat win so far this season. So 1 second place is his best result in a heat so far.
Richard Allen starting to ramp up, turn up the heat on his pace. A 51 dead. He's set on that one, trying to pull away a gap, and he's got a gap of 1.7 from Lewis Ridd, but we have seen the way that Ridd was able to close up in his first heat of the day earlier on, so that's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch.
I'm going to correct myself. He has had a heat win. He's had 2 of them so far. I keep reading. No, it's the wrong way around. Apologies. Here's number 86. Peathers needs a good result here. Did not have the kind of score that he would have wanted in the first race of the day, and needs a good one here. Otherwise, it's going to be possibly even C-finals. Alex Pritchard down the inside there, going for a move. Gets by. Good to see Jonathan McLeod back in a Club 100 paddock as well. It's a while since I've seen him, and he's battling here. Here's Tim Hill fighting with Richard Newton. Here comes Peathers. He's going to, brilliant. Love that. Takes advantage, gets 2 positions for free there, does Dave Peathers.
And McLeod will see the opportunity as well here. He's in the slipstream behind Tim Hill. He's going to get by surely on Richard Newton at least there as they come up the hill. He is indeed. As they come through onto the back straight here. And Warrell Smith, Alex Pritchard have arrived on the scene, and there's a flurry car. That's well read by Pritchard. He's there to go down the middle into the carousel. Beautifully read few corners there by Alex Pritchard. And he's immediately onto the tail of Kai Crawford as well in the 128.
And Warrell Smith lost out massively there. Just got himself in the wrong position. And everybody who was on the inside line took advantage. And I think I lost 3 or 4 positions there. Well read by those behind. There's Pritchard going down the inside of Kai Crawford. It's all getting a little bit rough out there again. Richard Newton in the number 37. It already feels like a damage limitation day for Anwar Warrell Smith. He didn't have his best of results in heat number 1. I don't think he's going to get one here in heat number 2. He's getting through now. That's 2 positions in this lap so far. And all penalty for Alex Pritchard. Well, that's going to help Warrell Smith's case because that's the driver directly ahead of him. Multiple pieces of contact for Alex Pritchard. That will be a number of positions deducted off on number 7 at the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel sorry for people like McLeod there, you lose momentum in the midst of that fight. And this is the thing about the circuit. If you've lost your momentum, I know it almost becomes a cliche what I say, but here it's more true than anywhere else. You're going to lose 3, 4 back of them in the next few laps.
You're not speaking from experience, of course.
No, I'm not. Well, I am. I learn from experience.
2.25 minutes to go. Here's Dave Peathers and Tim Hill. Now, there is a decent amount of time I'd work together at this point on Tim Hill, trying to close that gap up to Andrew Cherry ahead. Because if you can get Andrew Cherry, you might be able to catch Steve Ball. Third is not out of the realm of possibility at the moment.
I'm not sure we've mentioned Andrew Cherry's drive too much so far, but going very well at the moment. In that 4th place, staying in touch with Bosley.
I mentioned Toby Sutton as well, because he's currently top place, but top of the C3 drivers at the moment, ahead of Stephen Netting, Jack Howard at the moment. That's number 41 of Ben Wootton. Ben Wootton's got a problem there.
Going slowly, doesn't
yeah, and he's switched over. That's fine. Kept out of the way of the leaders. I think he has got an issue. He's probably going to be coming in to retire from this 4th heat of the day so far. We're nearly halfway through the heat racing for the heavyweights. We'll have the lightweights running the same programme this afternoon, so do stick around for that here on the Alpha Live YouTube channel and the plethora of Facebook pages that we're on here today as well. Pritchard and Warrell Smith now working together. There's the instruction from Pritchard to say let's keep working together. Let's try and catch up to Tim Hill and Dave Peathers. The gap between 4th and 5th is staying about around 3 seconds. Tim Hill's read the situation now. Yeah, he's got to get through, and he has got through. Peathers doesn't have the pace at the moment, and Tim Hill's thinking about the 2 drivers further behind. Doesn't want to lose positions to them as Warrell Smith's down the inside of Pritchard there. Pritchard out. Seems it quite well actually as we're on to the final lap now. Richard Allen, supreme out front in this race. I would have not seen much of him, but he's got a 5-second lead.
Yeah, exactly. Really well done from Richard Allen. Super experienced driver in this Club 100 machinery. And he's just one of those drivers who can just find the lap time, find the pace when quite a few others can't. That's a bold move there from Warrell Smith down the inside of Dave Peathers, and that's going to leave him exposed to attack from Alex Pritchard. Pritchard's going to have to go the long way around unless he can sell the dummy in some way. He's going to try to find the inside there. He's got to be careful because he's already had a penalty for contact, and I'd think about letting that one back through. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's thinking about doing that. He's got to make the decision quick though, because we're on the last lap, and there we go. There's the decision made. We have to look to the start finishing line because already I can say Richard Allen has crossed the line to take the win here. Here's Lewis Ridd coming through for 2nd place. So it's a good win for Richard Allen. Lewis Ridd in 2nd. Steve Bosley hold off Andrew Cherry for 3rd. Tim Hill takes 5th place. Then it's Warrell Smith who, he has worked his way up well there with Dave Peathers and Alex Pritchard next up, Kai Crawford and Richard Newton to round out your top 10. Toby Sutton, the highest placed of the Class 2 runners, in 13th place. Already, we need to be looking ahead to heat number 5. Here's your grid then for heat number 5. It's going to be Josh Pettit on pole with Lawrence Cheer alongside Anthony Ridd and Vijay Patel are on row 2 with Adam Wright and Joe Holmes making for an interesting row 3 there in our 5th heat of the day. Gerard Moore and Simon Kavanagh are on row 4 with Darrell Lowe and Lee Barrow rounding out your top 10. It'll be Lenny Wood and Miguel Hall next. Harrison Wedgbury and Chris Alcock on row number 7. Samuel Bensley and Matt Griffiths on row 8 with Cody Richards and Richard Neal next up. Tim Dorr and Ricardo Vitale to round out your top 20 and Jonathan Riley rounding out your 21 car grid for heat number 5 already. So we're getting past the halfway mark here in our sprint heat. They're coming thick and fast here for us here today at G1.
Yeah, Club100 staff rattling through the turnarounds here. Ready again for all of these drivers having their second heat of the day so far. And this could be another good one. There's some big hitters in this. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with number 38, but away we go for the start of this one. Bit of confusion on the anti-pole side of the grid.
Is it a problem for Patel's car? He seems a bit slow going along the Dragon Straight there, as it's still Pettit ahead, or it's not for long, because that to me looked like Anthony Ridd swooping through. Okay. Oddball.
So the restart flag, for those not aware, the green flag with a yellow chevron on it, that we can see on our timing screens, means that the grid will form up once again in the same order. Sometime may be knocked off the race duration here. I just wonder, was there a little bit of loading coming from the middle of the grid on the antipole that pushed Patel out wide through the final corner? Because you could see that Joe Holmes was slightly perturbed by everything that was going on there, and was the second kart on that side of the grid, and clearly didn't want to be, because he didn't want to get some form of penalty, and tried to let Patel back in, but he wasn't able to be there. So we'll go again. That race start never happened in the history books. And we go once again for heat number 5, looking a bit better this time. Everybody in their correct position. The number 55 making sure that this time the anti-pole side of the grid have gone too early. So we'll see if anything's determined about that. On the way up to Spoon they go. 3 wide in places. Oh, Adam Wright being forced onto the grass a little bit there. Through and over the rise they go. Into Spoon. Your leader, down the inside.
Big moment in the mid-pack there, Andrew.
Lee Barrow's involved.
Yeah, everyone's okay, but that was a heart-in-the-mouth moment for sure under braking. Just one of the carts got a bit light as they went over the crest, and that led to an incident there, contact on someone's right rear, and they were both round.
Yeah, Anthony Ridd has come through all of this and leads the race. Joe Holmes is up to second place already. But the drivers hopping out of their carts there, because Club100 carts are not allowed to, and thought that was going to come, Howard. Jump start penalty for cart number 55. Lawrence Chair crossed, and it's a bit of a slam dunk one, this one, Howard, because there's a timing beam, the transponders trip. This isn't one that's done by sight. This is, if second place breaks that timing beam before first, that is quite clearly a jump start, and it's a penalty, as we say there. Actually, no, it's changed now. Has it gone to Vijay Patel?
Both.
I think it's both have been given. Of them. Right, okay. So both of them have received jump start penalties, and it tends to be, if I'm not mistaken, 2 positions for every row you jump start. So
Matt Griffiths, Matt Griffiths, the other driver involved in that incident with Lee Barrow at the top of the hill on lap number 1. So those two having a costly one. I do believe they are both circulating again now, though.
Yeah, it's not a good day so far for Matt Griffiths.
It feels so dramatic in the car because the grass actually dips away from the track. Yes. So you come over a line crest, and if you go off there, it's like you've gone off into the wilderness. It's almost like you can't see the track you've got to get back onto almost. It's really quite not a nice area to go off. Not that there are nice areas to go off, generally speaking, but Joe Holmes is trying to hyper move here on Anthony Ridd. Anthony Ridd sideways on the braking, trying to raise his AC there. Joe Holmes not too happy about that, felt the space wasn't left, but I think that was Ridd just trying to defend as much as he possibly could. It's allowed him right on the back of Joe Holmes, though, and Josh Pettit, our pole sitter, is along for the ride as well.
Pettit in this position, just sit tight for a moment, because there could be an opportunity here. Oh, Holmes is going around! No, he saved it! What a brilliant save from Joe Holmes. All of them still involved. Much goes to the outside of Holmes now. Somehow, in all of that, they've all held position 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, lifetime shows that's a very eventful lap, but we know different. As they come on to a new lap onto the Dragon Straight, come out of the corner. How much run can Joe Holmes get? Now, if you're Anthony Ridd, you want to try and do a Tim Hill type approach here. I think they keep it nice and tight, but I think he's actually trying to keep wide. That's a slightly taking this off. There's a little bit more grip for braking on the outside as you approach that corner, so it's a bit of a difficult compromise act if you're defending, because you have to brake maybe a smidge earlier, which leaves you exposed to attack. But you can keep it tight and defend against that attack. And the crucial thing as well is keeping the revs of these Rotax Zero engines up as well. You can carry a lot of speed through Spoon and out and onto the Snowden straights, but if you chuck it in there really hard, let's say like you would one of the big hairpins in Buckmore Park, for example, you bog the engine down. You just lose so much momentum. It's a very different style of driving that you have to do around the BYG circuit to many of the circuits. There's a penalty for an easy take out on Gale Hall. That's going to be Josh Pettit. Yeah, he's well down the order. Correct. So number 46 will come to a stop momentarily, and Hall has received a penalty, but continue to defend here from reigning champion Joe Holmes. Adam Wright is playing a smart game here as well, just sitting there at the moment, third place. Knows that a gap may well be opened by the number 1. If he can hop inside that gap, get into position for himself and let Joe do all hard work.
speaking of penalties for Miguel Hall, significantly cleaner race thus far from Harrison Wedgbury, running well in 5th place. Trying to make up for what was a costly heat 1 where he raced, he raced in earnest, raced passionately, but accrued a lot of penalties along the race. So far, a better showing in this one, in his second heat of the day for Wedgbury. As once again over the rise, leaders once again keeping it tight is Anthony Reid to deter the move from Joe Holmes. Doing a decent job at the moment. Holmes might say a bit too... there's a touch there on the rear of Holmes from Adam Wright. He just perhaps slightly misread Holmes' braking that one, and actually that's held up right and maybe left him exposed to attack from Miguel Hall, though he do well to find a way through this section, and Wright seems quite comfortable through the compressions and Devil's Elbow. But decent job at the moment. I know it's been a bit eventful and a bit argy-bargy. Oh, this is the move now, is it, from Holmes into last corner? No, it's not. That will leave him exposed to Adam Wright. Wright will definitely have a bit of a run here if he can find a way through Joe Holmes, because that was, we've talked about through both the last and first corner here, any moves are sort of hero to zero stuff, and that didn't work out for Joe Holmes. He was able to catch up in the slipstream to Anthony Reid up the hill, but Reid can rest relatively easy on this lap in his continued attempts to keep Holmes behind him, keeping one of the best behind him. It has to be said, even though there's a bit of a bumping and nudging at certain points in this race. Should mention that Wedbury's been able to catch up with so it's pack 5 now. Only Miguel Hall out of this 5, and the number 8 have a penalty hanging over them. Chris Alcock is slowly reading this one in as well, Andrew.
Yeah, this has been a much better race from Harrison Wedgbury. A lot cleaner, needs it, because he had a lot of penalties in his first heat of the day. Over the line to go then. 52 seconds on the clock. As I think we'll just squeeze in 2 more. Fastest driver penalty for Joe Holmes there. I think that's that multiple pieces of multiple contact one. I've not seen any come up, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, he has had contact
Okay.
So that's... have we seen that come up on screen here? Is that...
Not on our Alpha live stream. We've got it. We've seen it on our tiny screens inside the box. We'll see if it's holds to go. I think it will sneak across the line with a couple of seconds left on the clock, so they'll get 9th lap in here, round to Lodge for heat number 7.
Chris Alcock has set up the opportunity to bring his maybe dead place on the last lap. Joe Holmes then. This is his last one. He's going to try to put underneath through Club corner. He's got the run. Adam Wright going to slip into the slipstream behind and see if he can cash in on this one as well. And they are both going to get through. Nicely done there by 2 very experienced drivers. Holmes and Wright, they've got themselves, after a race long defence from Anthony Reid, they have got themselves up into 1st and 2nd. But does Joe Holmes, it's still showing a lot of time that he has got a penalty for contact warning. That would make our net race winner, net race leader, I should say, until they cross the line, Mr. Adam Wright.
Yeah, he's had 3 so far this season in the heats. He's had a 2nd place in on the A final so far this season, still very early in the year, of course. Driver number 4. So we come in the final corner. We'll wait to see if penalties are confirmed. Joe Holmes takes one on the road ahead of Wright. Anthony Reid battling 3rd place there ahead of Miguel Hall and Harrison Wedgbury. That's top 5. Chris Alcock in 6th, Simon Campbell 7th, Lodge Chair in 8th, but don't start penalty to be applied. Langwood 9th, Beaton 7th, top 10, also the Chair's penalty to be applied. Jonathan Riley is top C3, then it's Bensley, Pettit, Lowe, Neal, Richards, Griffiths, Moore, Dorr and Barrow. That was your 20 winners. Heat number 5 will cut straight to after this short little bit, heat number 6.
Here's a grid then for sprint heat number 6 of our heavyweights today here at Glan-Y-Gors. Mike Nichols will lead this one from Paul Williams alongside him. Damien Smith and Alexander Lamin are on row 2. Johnny Elliott and Kurt Holmes are row number 3. And I'm getting ahead of myself. There we go. There's the grid. Nichols and Williams on the first row. Smith and Lamin, Elliott and Holmes. Then it's going to be Jacob Harris and James Bate on row number 4 with Adrian Ray and Dominic Valance rounding out the top 10. Steve Lindley and Daniel Jenkins are next with Simon Lloyd and Callan Sigafus on row number 7. Row number 8, we'll see Stuart Kirk start just ahead of Vinod Harani. Leon Duprise and James Antwist will be row number 9. And then it's going to be Luke Elliott and Shane Cotter to round out the 20-car field for this 6th heat, after which all drivers will have finished 2 of their heat races. We really are cracking through the schedule here at Glan-Y-Gors.
As we are here in Wales, and we're very accustomed to seeing the Welsh sheep out there, some Welsh cows. But we've got a Welsh giraffe in this one with Jacob Harris out there.
That's one of those classic, I didn't know where he was going to go with that one, folks. But yes, indeed. Lovely stuff. Going to be an interesting one, this one. Good opportunity for Mikey Nichols and Paul Williams to bag some good points in their heats. Can we get a cleaner start than last time through? Looks a bit better to me. I think Paul Williams with a lot of experience there as they head along the Dragon Straight for the first time and up towards Spoon, and he's gone ahead actually as Paul Williams, and is that Lamin that he's taken through as well up into 2nd place. So great start from the anti-pole side of the grid, and much like we saw from Richard Allen a couple of heats ago, just almost ignores the fact that there is a race start going on to their right hand side, and that's a moment there for Dominic Valance, who's taken that heat win earlier on in his first heat. Slightly more costly moment for him on this first lap, although I don't think he suffered as badly as some have through first lap dramas as they work their way through the compressions for the first time.
Yeah, coming down the hill, and you saw there with Paul Williams' start that he got it timed a lot better. Jacob Harris is involved in some shenanigans there. Steve Lindley down the inside there, and the number 47 takes advantage of the situation. Pod to pod between Lindley and Harris is now in the wrong position on the outside. He's got Valance on the inside. They're all trying to sort themselves out. There's Stuart Kirk in the middle of it all as well. But Kurt Holmes, having this very good start to the season, leads at the end of lap 1, 8/10 ahead of Paul Williams.
And I think that was Lindley going around the outside of Jenkins at the end of the Dragon Straight as well. That was a move by Lindley, and it's left him exposed to attack from Jacob Harris, who has also got through. So that's 2 positions lost for Jenkins at least there. Bit of a heart in the mouth.
There may have been a little bit of contact there.
There may have been, though. We will have to keep an eye out. And here comes some of the penalties. Yeah, big penalty indeed for the race leader, Kurt Holmes, with an ABC bump and pass being issued. So that's 4 positions added to wherever he finishes. So he cannot win this race now. Miss Williams, your actual leader, once all is said and done. You won't necessarily know this, though, I will stress that, unless he's really au fait with everybody's racing number. It's not really obvious that that's happened. So the question will be, is he trying to lay it all on the line to catch one past someone who doesn't actually need to in terms of race result and points? At the moment, he's more concerned about Alexander Lamin and Johnny, who are hot on his tail as they head through the carousel. Difficult sort of double apex left-hander. Both of those tracks have a double apex left-hander, and the Landau one as well. I feel like this is a difficult one. I find, Andrew, that the second half of the carousel feels like it's got distinctly less grip to it than the first apex.
You're working the tyres, the front tyres in particular, and those who are talking to you, oh dear, so 97 of Adrian Ray is off. He really got hit by the comms box curse. We praised his effort earlier and it's been not so good ever since. That's why he needs to buy his neck. Those who were talking to you yesterday will be bored already when you're saying this. The front tyres take such punishment through the carousel. You go over this little rise, you can't quite see it on the camera. There's a little rise that you just drop over, so the cart goes very, very light, but the weight transfer goes all onto the front. You've really got to set the cart right and not work the tyres too hard, because you've got all that weight forward and then you're pushing through that corner. And you just feel the front going, I don't like this, more and more as you traverse around that corner. And if you push them too hard, you then get to the point where they just go, no, bad enough, and you scrub out wide. And then you've got that hammer thing again, you exit the corner, the track slopes away, it's quite a nasty bump. We saw the kind of super one, having adventures with last week, and then you just drop off a cliff. It's a really, really difficult situation for drivers. Good battle this, though. Yeah, for the race.
Indeed, this is Scuttle for the lead. Johnny Elliott's trying to find a way through on Lamin, and behind him, Richard Allen is sending one down the inside. No, I don't mean Richard Allen, I mean Mikey Nichols, sending one down the inside of Steve Lindley, or trying to counter-attack on him, because I think Lindley got by early on in the lap, and he has got through, and so too Dominic Valance. And a good battle here as well. I think they've been a possibly lap for Steve Lindley. I think he's down net 1, but I think he had designs to get up to 5th place early on in that lap. It hasn't quite worked out for him. He's now got Jacob Harris and Callum Six, who's catching onto the back as well, as Lamin is now having a very nice look here at Paul Williams, but I think he's, again, it's really showing, you can see the title line is taking. Johnny trying to go around the outside there on Lamin, it hasn't worked. It's left him exposed to Mikey Nichols, and there's a mode there, I think, for Valance there, riding up on the rear bumper of Mikey Nichols, has held both of them up, allowed Steve Lindley to get back through to where he was a lap ago.
Wonderful from Lindley, just went, it's like there on the outside, set 2 positions, thank you very much, and he has now got his 5th place, he was endeavouring for a lap ago. And I have a track limit warning for Jake Harris. Probably through this corner here, where the drivers are told that big scissor curve, it's just sort of right to your screen there. Don't go near it, as Luke Elliott and number 101.
Meanwhile, Elliott's trying to find a way through here. On Lamin, got the inside line this time. Steve Lindley's going to try to get to the inside, catching as well. He's going to try to go for goal through on Johnny Elliott. That might be a little bit. Well, we'll see. Keep an eye on the penalties for that one, because I think it does look like a bit of a candidate for bump and pass, doesn't it? As these all battle. Not weird. It's going to be 4 positions added on at the end. Singerfood's trying to pull alongside Mike Nichols alongside Dragon Straight this time.
There is the expected bump and pass penalty for Steve Lindley. There's only 4 positions for him. Jenkins also has had penalty attributed to him for multiple contact warnings. As Lindley goes down the inside of Paul Williams. That helps though. That moves him a little bit further up where the penalty will drop him to, of course.
Again, Paul Williams over that. Driver has a penalty. He's going to go all in on trying to pass a driver he doesn't need to with regards to winning this race outright. It's going to be an interesting one here as we come on to the final lap with this one, Andrew. The number 32 is leading this one, but I'm not sure if he knows that's the case.
Yeah, Paul Williams is 1 lap away here from a heat victory. First of the season for him. Well, now on the last lap, Williams from Lamin, then Elliott. That's 1-2-3 without penalties. Singerfood's having a look at Jacob Harris over the inside, and Harris shuts the door as they go over the king. Williams to the inside, down the inside. There goes Jacob Harris on Johnny Elliott. Elliott fights back, still side by side as they're going down the hill here into Carousel. Who's bravest of these two? Still side by side. Harris is going to be on the outside now. There's not a lot of grip there. He can lose 1, 2, maybe 3 positions. Get just 1 in the end. This has been a great race. Paul Williams using all of his experience, just keeping things calm at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap as he went down. There is Jacob Blackburn. Has over the line. He has a penalty. Steve Lindley's going to be second on the road, but he has a penalty. Paul Williams, stand up. Heat 6 winner, first win of the year for Paul Williams. Alexander Lamin in 4th, Johnny Elliott 5th, Dominic Valance in 6th, Jake Harris, Callum Sigfoods, Mikey Nichols and James Bates. That's his top 10 ahead of Simon Lloyd 11th. Top C3 was James Andrews in that race in 12th. And Shane Costa, Damien Smith, Daniel Jenkins, Vidal, Stuart Kirk, Leon Breeze, those all of those did not have a problem with that 18th. Adrian Ray and Luke Elliott Smith. Good race that we're going to have to cut straight to Heat 7. The last rotation of Heat is coming right up.
Here's your grid then for heat number 7 of round 3. Matt Griffiths and Alex Pritchard are your front row, with Dave Pethers and Calm Bennett on row 2. Miguel Hall and Lewis Ridd are next up. Then it's going to be Richard Allen and Lawrence Chea on row number 4. Josh Pettit and Adam Wright round up the top 10. Anthony Ridd and Kai Crawford are row number 6. Then it's going to be Lenny Wood and Joe Holmes on 7. Steve Bosley and Tim Hill on row 8, with Jonathan Riley and Richard Neal up next. And closing out the top 20, will be Tom Stalker and Riccardo Vitale, and indeed closing the top 20, closing out the grid, for it is 20 drivers in this one.
Maybe it did not start for Vitale because he didn't start his previous heat.
Okay, good spot there. I have to say, you called Paul Williams someone who liked getting up through the B file. He won't have to with a performance like that.
The commentator's curse can work both ways.
Oh yeah. If drivers, so hang on, do drivers have to ask us to talk down? Okay, wow.
Yeah. Opposite effects. Here we go then for heat number 7. Final chance for all of these drivers, and we're going to go around again because the grid is not properly formed up. The greatest of all time had a great saying for this, of course. Murray was very famous for a commentator's curse. It's like he doesn't get things wrong. He doesn't get things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He makes prophecies that instantly turn out to be incorrect.
Indeed.
That's what we're trying to do here.
Or, as we said earlier, bring us cake.
Bring us.
So yes, full start flag just being shown like the earth wire of a plug. Which you can see over on live.alphatiming.co.uk. Click on Club 100 and you can see live timing there. We've also got it on our Double Dash stream over on our channel. Do follow us along on there if you want to have even greater depth to your coverage of today's racing. Here we go though, ready for heat number 7. The last heat for all of these drivers as we go to the third station. Matt Griffiths in the 18, Alex Pritchard in the number 7. It's another good start from the anti-pole side of the grid, and I think Griffiths is going to take first position. He is indeed. Richard Allen this time doing the opposite of what he did last time and try and go up the inside, trying to do a pass on the grass, but can't make it work. It's 3-1, 4-1, and that's a high speed off there for the number 55 of Lawrence Chaya. And, well, I tell you what, that got quite dramatic. It's good to see that everyone gets through that one okay, as it's going to be Dave Pethers down the inside of Matt Griffiths, the pole sitter, and Richard Allen's going to follow through as well, as too is Miguel Hall, if he can at all help it. Although Griffiths will have the inside line there. Yeah, he's going to be able to stem the flow there of people trying to get by as they come down through the compressions. But it's a good start for Alex Pritchard to the head of the field. Again, it seems to be working really well. If you can time it nicely, getting away from second on the grid without doing a jump start, as that's a lovely move in the final corner from Richard Allen on Dave Pethers to take second place of him as they complete the first lap.
What I will say though, Howard, and this may be in a realm of tolerance, it was very close. It was very close. I think it's the second. Point 2 over the line. Not on my screen. We'll keep monitoring that situation. 4 minutes and 43 to go. The race time. No, I don't have a race. A bit of a space. No, has no. 6 minute heat now. Go down. It's a that's that one. Has ball out. Miguel Hall's not in the move, giving place to try and make that work. He's demonstrated very much not the simple. Pritchard from Allen. There's Hall. Holmes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Alex Pritchard. And 6 cams since Phil's Mill. Saw him in Paddock yesterday. Mike Collins was pointing. I was like, no, because that's Phil's looking man in Alex's face because it's not Pritchard's not most. It's very hard work in the gym. And that's the challenge from the inside now. Big between them. That's looking at the endurance events, really. That's make that work. Did some good yesterday. 3.5 minutes ago. Ridge Allen going to bring down the inside. It's going to come underneath. Yes, he is. The ball line down. He wasn't to right left. So he's trying to move in the as well. He's going to there. And then only pay off. He'll love it into the final corner. That's happen. And don't get me wrong, last lap. Absolutely, that's very much a move. You can see how compromised all the way across the finish. And this is like what's Pethers. And Gilson Holmes will win party out to make a 5-car battle for the rest of the lead race today. And nobody in the pack is empty. So this is the battle to lead the race as they come around again at lap number 5. So Pritchard from Allen, Pethers, Hall, Holmes, 1.6 seconds clear. Next, behind the line, Griffiths. First race this time. Defensive again, still never Allen could be on the outside, he's got down towards Parcells, he can break, he can robotics, he can't do a bit of a switchback. Well defended again from Alex Pritchard. He can also do and he was quite a attack there, and spoon corner. He did like this is low, he's trying to work up from here. But the top 10, he needs to have his contact warning on the way. Our rescue doesn't need to be careful as well, he does have contact warning hanging over him, so his camera doesn't get into a penalty, he can see anything else. Tim Hill's good, he continues to take place ahead, Matt Griffiths kind of caught his faster on Stalker as well. He'll try and rally the top, see if he wins the race, will go defensive again, and to the outside once more. Is that going to be opportunity to take inside, Got through, you have to get all 4 as well. This will look bad to GG circuit. It produces great racing, head defend, without having to over-defend if you want to. He's very racing around here, UKC in particular, previous Alpha live streams for London Nature. Last ball out there for this group. Joe hoping to get the inside Pethers there. It seems to be a group 2 now ahead of the 3 behind. He's trying to swing back into the back, down straight, trying to opportunities carousel, even he's having a boy, foot in the overlap, but he doesn't quite. This Andrew, the lap where you want to do a last ball and lunge, if you can step up right, but 0-0, so as we've been saying, so Alpha's going to keep going. It's down, goes straight down, beautiful move there. I said the rest of the go through there, not this time, it's beautifully there by Rich Allen, who on the final lap, unless Rich Allen turns the final corner, I don't think he can. What a win for Rich Allen, took it on the last lap, in a very unusual place to make move sick. Rich Allen second there, Pethers doing on the third, the highest class 2, Joe Holmes, Miguel Hall, Andrew's going to get on that, final lap for 6, Steve Bosley, and Brad at the top, they're showing right, I think, driving out in 11th place. That's a different there, I really enjoyed that one, and we'll head down to more action for the GYG heat number 8.
Your grid then for heat number 8 as they are taking to the circuit. It's going to be Vinod Hirani and Callan Sigafus on row number 1 for you here. Chris Alcock and Jack Cameron Drayton are row number 2 with Alexander Lamin and Andrew Cherry on 3. Row 4 is occupied by Mikey Nichols and Johnny Elliott, and Luke Pullen and Jonathan McLeod will round out your top 10. Lee Barrow will be hoping for a better heat race this time from 11th, Steve Lindley alongside him, and then it's going to be Jacob Harris and Gerard Moore on row 7. Simon Kavanagh and Darrell Lowe are row 8. Shane Cotter and Toby Sutton are on row 9, and then rounding out the 20-car grid, it's going to be Ben Wotton and James Antwis. That's how they line up then for the penultimate heat of our heavyweights and super heavyweights here at Glan-Y-Gors for round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprint Championship. A reminder, we're saying Senior Sprint Championship because in a couple of weeks' time, it is a couple of weeks, isn't it? A few weeks' time, we've got the cadets kicking off. New championship to the Club 100 portfolio. We shall talk more about that later on because right now it's time for the race to get underway. Vinod Hirani leads them away in the number 24. Callan Sigafus trying to do what he's seen several do from second on the grid, and he's made it work again. Sigafus up into the lead unless there's a fight back from Hirani at the turning point into Spoon. I don't think there is. So as they come into the first braking, it is the number 90 of Callan Sigafus who's to the head of the field, and a much better start from Jack Cameron Drayton to take himself up into second place. He needs a good result here to set himself up nicely for the trophy finals, as there's 2 drivers off to drivers left into the carousel on the grass. I'm not sure who that is, but they're recovering in the back of shot. No, they're not all recovering. There's a driver who's having to get out of the cart, and that might be a retirement or at least a very long way back onto the tarmac.
Yeah, there was a bit of a cone pinball, pin cone, we'll call it that, going on as the cone on the exit of Spoon was taken out again. Chris Alcock looks to the inside there of Pullen and takes 4th place. Vinod Hirani out wide. Again, that's where the circuit's quite green at the moment. There's been not a lot of running because even in the wet, you don't really use that far outside line. You go for a slightly earlier turn in to get your bite on the tyres as you go through in the wet. So you don't, unless you've gone a bit right, you don't see cars going over the tarmac.
Yeah, it's not the kind of wet line principle applies at all. You've just got to stick on the rails. So I got to find a way through there. Halfway through there, Andrew Cherry takes himself into 3rd place. A bit more confidence now, so the drivers can do something. We weren't seeing any moves through this section early on, but now we're seeing a few more through. As now we've got on Aaron Grayson in the still counts to the lead. Brisbane High is on the 1 good. Over these 2 as they turn in at the top of the hill. Ahead will the braking soon. And behind them, that is Andrew Cherry and Luke Pullen still back in the website as they were. And Lamin in the right on the scenes on number 4. Alcock has found a way through there into the car. Beautifully judged. Thomas Snowden straight there. Alcock up into second place.
Indeed, all the points take 5 this. We need to go catch Callan Sigafus ahead. Contact warning for Steve Lindley. And Drayton need a big result here. It's not good pace so far for driving cars. Number 85. Very closing in as well. Continuing to struggle so far here. In 5th place, 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. And Buttons had that launched there on your screen.
Because we're back this pack, and it's 2 seconds further back, and then 2 bit right. It's a little bit down pace, so on this one. Look at this, how wide there, Jacob Harris.
Here he comes.
Trying to find a switch traffic there on Luke Pullen, but the gap isn't going to work for him here. He's got to be careful because he's got has got one apologies. Jacob there, Pullen trying to do the double, come on, make up to Holmes. That's him. There's Pullen having a bit of a look there. Andrew Cherry's made that. Jacob has got Jimmy. Here we go. Can he make it through the last ball without coming pace? 2 minutes left. I think he can. And let's get a try now for this as well. Look out for Nichols doing patient on the back of this. Suddenly you can see the opportunity. He's a bit move on as Alexander Lamin gets the top hill.
That'll be a great sprint to move for Jacob Harris because you knew there would be a gap there. You've got to confidence yourself in that position. You can't be like, oh no, I'm not turning because the next drive behind is going to take advantage. That was really, really well done. You can see he's got a lot of experience in the UK and he's watched a lot of racing these cars over the years. You see him growing confidence here in the sprint series. He's now on the back of Andrew Cherry going 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really really good to see. You can see him back into the Club 100 racing action. Not just I think the world's best reviews round. Oh my goodness me. He's through the outside, finding that grid that we talked about the big 12. That's the world goes. He's letting go. That's a true end for Jerry Boots. But Mikey Nichols over back with Lamin. Brilliant, really good move with the pace. Jack Harris was superb.
About 6 foot. I think that's going to be a ticket there. Yeah, that was the guts to take that. That fast corner was quite sweet inside. He goes outside there. So you get what's on inside one possible. I say that really good. Brilliant in the 4th.
Nichols. So who's down with pressure from position is Jack Harris. He's such a job as yeah, still here for the lead. We're going to get here. Last phase of Alcock. We've got a strong start to the day here.
I say like it's boys. Yeah. Just see how it'll try. It's not here. That's the performance of our Jacob. 35 seconds to go. He's at least. Who's at Alcock.
Yeah, I'm going to say. Alcock very much in the word track specific. Do well is Callan to good pressure from Alcock. Chris Alcock part of the independent effort. We're familiar with in the endurance series as well. We've seen we've seen that we've seen that efforts in line race on the last lap. Chris Alcock is there. He's going to take that big there through Chris Alcock. It's the lead. So not 60 to over that much. He's got anything to the second fight back.
Yeah, it's not going to go behind them. Having a look down the side. Alcock carries speed through there. It's been a short drive from both drivers. Chris Alcock going down the hill. He's had 2 heat wins so far this season. Here is number 3, brilliant tough from Chris Alcock. That is a really poor points. Well, the Apple independent driver, Callan Sigafus in 3rd. What is happening here? Jacob Harris 3rd. So, back to the Jacob Harris in 4th. Mike Nichols in 5th. Luke Pullen 6th. Andrew Cherry 7th. Alexander Lamin 8th. Stephen Lee starting with Chris was CP Land. Darrell Lowe 12th. Johnny Elliott 15th. James Stewart and James Evans. And Gerard Moore. Toss. The win race. Oh, which battle there by his neck.
Two heat races in a row where we've had the lead change on the last lap there as well. They're getting better as we get through the day here. What will the final heat for our heavyweights provide us, I wonder. Anwar Brawl-Smith and Samuel Bensley will be on the front row. Harrison Wedgbury and Stuart Kirk next up with Simon Lloyd and Kurt Holmes on row number 3. Row 4 will be Vijay Patel and Paul Williams. Richard Newton and Damien Smith round out your top 10. Then it's going to be Daniel Jenkins and Stephen Netting on row 6. James Bate and Adrian Ray on row 7. Then it'll be Dominic Valance and James Radovich with Cody Richards and Leon Dupreez on row 9. And Tim Dorr and Luke Elliott rounding out the 20-cart field. Last opportunity for these drivers to get some heat points on the board. It's 20 championship points, by the way, for a heat win, and progressing backwards through the field by 1 point. So second place gets 19 points, etc., etc. But the big points are on offer in the trophy final, so it is all about setting up the best grid position. So what can the drivers do in this final opportunity for them? After this, we're going to be into our finals. Anwar Brawl-Smith in the number 2 will lead the way. So Bentley on the outside. Doesn't look like he's going to try the tactic we've seen from some starting from second on the grid, but he is going to slot in nicely behind Brawl-Smith as they head up the hill. Looks like a decent, clean start from everyone so far. What about the turning point here at the top of the hill? Yes, they're going to stay side by side, but clean, crucially, as they head in. Oh, no, there's a moment there.
They're huge amount of loading.
There was a lot of loading there, and that was a big, that was Simon Lloyd round in the 73, and frustration for him. I spoke a bit too soon, didn't I, as they came through Spoon. Through Carousel they go. It's still Anwar at the head of the field, with Bensley alongside, as they head through the compression for the first time.
Yeah, that was so unlucky for Simon Lloyd, because that was not his fault.
Yeah.
That was the, I'm sorry to say it, the fault of drivers further behind, being too keen into the first big braking zone of the circuit, and he's had his race ruined as a result. And already second out of the rest of the field. He's going down now to Bentley and very good for James Bradley. It's not useful in 13th place. Holmes and Bentley going side by side, which Newton's now on the scene then. The 7 back helmet. ABT takeout. Has been handed the Patel now. Not C. Actually, no, Leon Priest or Daniel as well. So,
I don't think I'll have
yeah.
There's a few guys here who we're looking forward to, I'm afraid.
So that's big Cassie for Patel there. On 6th place of this heat of the first session. Yeah, on the inside of Bentley over the place. Patel, all side for Bentley. There's Patel.
Left in there, but all okay. Yeah, drivers, you can tell that drivers who make half first place or feel good and they're really on charge here. Only a little bit more. There's a couple of it in next driver here on it's James Bailey. No, technically it was Denton. Don't actually stick here. They can lap on you. Exposed to James actually who's behind him. Last number 1 to 7 for Alexander Smith. Harrison Smith because number 1 for last number is falling a little bit ready through Spoon there. Starting because we'll check by the line right from James. I don't want to do anything about it. Do what actually through. So again, to say Ray come through who he's only only 30 second on the road. By track first by the first behind this so all taken out the quick Holmes in third moment, seems to have paced out up to the top 2. So a bit low this moment now, it's continues. Sweet, and to the inside, right through also. That's going a long way. Actually, look at the right. That really can get something turning just about good. See the back of the classic there. That'll level good in 125. Yeah, very convenient. I thought it over a cut on the inside line to Carousel. He managed to get wrapped up and get the completers. He just works together. They can put in Bensley and Paul. Bensley back balls and falling easy quite quickly once the other road. If one of these guys don't look like they're about to together, Adrian now to big carry. People can cross through the outside on a bit. He had another magic move. That's what I think. Straight back through. Check fancy shots down. This time he's getting moved up. So pop on moves it. Adrian there. Bentley looking good. Putting everything on. It's really weird. It's tricky sometimes if you don't know this very well. There very much is a ribbon. They can't ribbon of red for quick that forward. You could do a little bit of travel in time. Probably something over just slips off it. Just a little bit too wide. And again, the circuit just go away from you. You can't seem to speed. You can't get application on pace. You just lose so much time in that case. Just pushes as well. Because we're recovery right in this race. How well up to other drivers that are back behind it. They're able to progress through that first differentiation more than anything. As we're looking here at that over 5th place between Michelle Samuel Bensley and Williams. We're down to the rest of the Denzel. He has the races coming from Anwar Smith. More on there for Sammy Shulgis, supposed to Bensley. He's going well, but Bensley's definitely going to be in the stream here. In 1 place, it's going to be. But Holmes found pace 5.801. So 3 goes out at the moment. That's second half. Apart from Eagle. He needs to see the low spot or pit 6 points. Happy enough. One run off to the Bensley. Let's go down. All the people he got a fantastic win earlier. It just needs the points. Doesn't need to be going absolutely wrong here because all of his lead final earlier. The chance is he's going to be wrong out again late. So I can go again more this strategy. Bensley looking a bit, yeah. I think that's the best. So all of these looking at now. One place to go. Yeah, and the one that's quite sharp. But they've got top. Then news on fourth. And the chosen again. And then we're going to here he has been a good second place. The very news in place. Then he is going to be over 5th place. Head to the point. Then Jenkins is going to change base. In by on the lap saying top 10. Top 10 of place. Yeah, that's right. No problem. I'm looking for something in US sports. In Dawn 52 pressure in 6th place. James Smith, Luke Elliott, and Cody Bits. And that is it for your heat races. So we're going into our TB and A finals. We will walk you through. We'll look here. Check this video. All about those heats. We'll be back with you soon here on the live stream of Grand Prix of these Brits. Keep coming in on the YouTube stream. As I have a reception, don't away. A little pause now. The grids are sorted out. Meantime, keep it locked here on your Alpha channel. We'll be back in a few moments' time for these short messages.
Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of round 3 for the 2022 Club 100 Sprints Championships. We're getting ready for our C final in the heavyweights class. This is your grid. Gerard Moore has pole position for the C final. Shane Cotter joins him on the front row of the grid. Damien Smith and Stuart Kirk are on row 2. If those 4 drivers hold their positions, they will progress through to the B final. On the outside looking in at the moment with work to do, James Radovich starts on row 3. Tom Stalker joins him there 6th on the grid. Jonathan McLeod and Lee Barrow are on the 4th row of the grid. Then we find Tim Dorr and Ben Wootton on row 5. Leon Dupreez and Cody Richards are on the 6th row of the grid. Luke Elliott and Riccardo Vitale complete the grid here for the C final, and I imagine Vitale will be did not start again unless he's turned up in the last half hour and had a special force majeure driver's briefing. So we expect 13 karts in this one. Top 4 go through into the B final, joining the back of the B final grid, and this should be a good one.
Should be indeed, mate. It's always good to show a bit of focus on this part of the field. We always try and cover all of the battles that are going on, but it's quite difficult, you'll appreciate, across all of these heats. So it's going to be good to feature some of the drivers who maybe haven't had the best day so far, but as Andrew says, there is a means of redeeming oneself by getting up into one of those top 4 promotion spots, or repechage spots, as I believe the regulations call them. The chatter, hive of activity going on just outside our comms position here at the circuit is the sound of the lightweight drivers signing on. Don't forget that once we've finished all the fun in these heavyweight trophy finals, we are by no means done. We are merely halfway through the day's running here at Glan-Y-Gors, because lightweights are coming your way this afternoon.
No podium positions will be decided in this race, I believe, because David Whitehouse has already let me know that there are 2 novices in the C3 class in the A final, I believe, and I think we've definitely got some super heavyweights up there as well.
Yep. So this one is just about how do we look for positions overall and those top 4 golden ticket spots. And we always talk about tactics in this one. It's really important for these drivers who maybe they're in this final because their day hasn't gone to plan. Maybe they're in this final because they've not got as much experience as some of the drivers out there today. And if so, the question is always, do they know strategically how to work this to have your eyes on the prize of that top 4 spots, rather than going out and out for a race win? Everyone wants a race win. I want a race win. You want a race win. Everyone watching wouldn't mind having a race win, I'm sure. But more points are on offer in the B final if you can get to it. So if you're going to have it all come to tears in a hell for leather attempt at the first position here in this race, it can all end quite badly. So drivers have got to have their wits about them. And again, I refer you to the fact that the slipstream here at the circuit is quite pronounced on that Dragon Straight. You know, if a pack of 4 starts to break away at the front here, it could become very difficult for, you know, if you're in a pack that's battling over 5th place, don't battle over 5th place until you know there is no chance of you working together. Bump drafting. This is the circuit on the calendar, I think, Andrew, where bump drafting is the most prevalent, the most possible to do without, you know, causing a headache, unsettling the carts around you. There's a long enough straight that you can do it, and you want to do. If you're 2 carts battling over 5th and 6th, work together. Try and get yourselves back up into that top 4 spots. Penalties are also a factor here. We've seen that come in to play so often. You know, bearing in mind, if you get a bump and pass penalty, you ain't through. It doesn't matter how far you win the race by. It's a positions-based penalty, so you've got to keep it clean as well. So a lot of factors at play in what might seem a humble race, insofar as it's the lowest ranked of our 3 final races that we're going to do. But make no mistake, there's a lot to play for here in this one.
Have we talked about the length of the race as well?
We haven't.
So 12 minutes for these finals. The drivers in the C and the B final will not get a practice. So it's straight out there. See Jimbo there with the official timing sheets. running an efficient pit lane. There's Dan Underhill as well in a work capacity today. And I think we'll be seeing his little lad in a couple of weeks' time in the cadets.
Yes.
It's one of the things I was really looking forward to. That there are quite a few entries for that who are
Yes.
kids to drivers who've raced in Club 100 for a very long time. I think that's very much the ethos that's being put there into the cadets championship to give people the opportunity for the cost and not having to commit to some very high costs elsewhere in the sports. And so we're really looking forward to that in 2 weeks' time at Buckmore Park. It'll be the first round for the cadets. It'll be the second round for the juniors, and you'll be able to watch it all here on Alpha Live with commentary from DDMM. Out go the drivers for the C final. 12 minutes will be on the clock. The grid will form up. And to remind you, that front four at the moment holding, at least on the grid, to the positions that would get you through to a B final: Gerard Moore, Shane Cotter, Damien Smith and Stuart Kirk.
I want to give an additional shout out for the juniors there, because
Yeah.
The Young Drivers' Championship has been running. It's not the inaugural season for it, but Club 100 tried to get the Young Drivers' Championship going at the hardest time, it turns out.
Yes.
During the last 2 years, trying to get that championship off to a start. It is great that we're able to bring coverage of that championship finally as well in a couple of weeks. So do tune in to see some of the exciting talent that's coming up through and getting started, indeed, in the case of the cadets, in this brilliant form of arrive and drive karting. Right here, though, we are ready for our C final. Who can bag themselves a spot on the back of the B final grid? It's Gerard Moore in the 69, Shane Cotter alongside in the 70. Away we go. The 14 karts get underway, and it's a good start there from Damien Smith, who's tucked underneath our pole sitter there, and he's gone straight to the head of the field. That was a dream start there for Damien Smith. Can he hold it all the way up the hill? It looks like James Radovich, I think it is, trying to get a good start as well as they come through Spoon for the first time. Very wide, though, from Damien Smith through there, and it's opened the door to allow Gerard Moore back through again. And so too has gone James Radovich. I said he was having a good start. I think he's up into second place there as they come out of the carousel on that one. Stuart Kirk there in the mid-pack, a driver who I would have thought Andrew would really be looking to bag a spot up here. This is a little lower down than we would that we're accustomed to seeing Stuart Kirk. We know that he had some issues during his heats. We believe there was a takeout penalty for someone taking him off the road. So he definitely will be looking to bounce back in this one. At the end of lap one, though, it is Gerard Moore who leads. He's the only Class 1 runner we should mention in this C final. So he would definitely expect to, on balance, get through. Radovich up into a very strong second place here in the wheel tracks. Behind the fourth, the 15th, Smith and Tom Stalker as well. Another scene is there. Attempts and succeeds. Radovich getting through into the lead. Most of the move there from Radovich. That's one of our Class 3 runners taking the lead off one of our Class 1 drivers.
Well, move, but they have lost time to Damien Smith and Shane Cotter behind. So we'll see where that strategy plays out. Maybe with Untitled Chapter trying to push away as two. If you're in Moore's position now, I think you've just got to tell on the chain and try and the worst thing to do now in this situation is go from back. Got to keep the pace up, got to keep pushing on. There's a chance here that this field is split. Look at the battle going on 4 places. There's a chance here the top 4 people put their in final. The B5 Tom Stalker hold on to 4 places. Give it a hard time.
Yeah, he was wide through the corner, and we spoke about the corner, open door, opportunity for Shane Cotter and Ben Wilson, but they've made that to behind right, ding dong there over 5th place, and that's costly for them because 5th place is that corner we were talking about. They want to try and work together here. So if you're Shane Cotter now, who's just been passed by Ben Wilson, the now ahead of 70, you've got to take that one as it is and try and work together here. There's a certain Stuart Kirk just around the scene. He likes his position back, he likes points. So you've got to be careful him. Really, I can see Shane Cotter the job back. Oh, I wouldn't. He tried to get on the Wilson is now on the back of the pack. He's the 5th driver of this train. And feels another way Tom Stalker. He's testing the limits of the track, and I can guarantee there are not more grip if you do wheels on the outside of the zone straight.
It's actually very easy to do that. You just have to speed. You're trying to reduce the angle of that corner, the left-hand king. Just lazy grab a bit, and it's drop off the real edge drop. Beyond that, there. Yeah, Stalker very nearly got caught up in all that.
We talk about the press that go over the bridges and rules. He's on the track. Yeah, it's a little thing that I think it's easily done, but doesn't want to do it again because I think any more opportunities in Ben Wilson will
change his position last lap. Got past Stuart, past Kelly, just indoors, so taking the lead again. So just make a little bit less commitment into the initial pass lap. He's paying so hard, that's sorting the watch out to the exits. And that will be a good sign if you're going to Wilson because he's seeing a driver under pressure, making a few mistakes. It really is a tight C final. Sometimes we see these C finals, so those of you who just too tough to get away, but nothing certain at the moment. There's just 2 seconds, 7 half on the clock.
Absolutely. We'll catch it out for Stuart Kirk here. That's a driver. So it is interesting. Very interesting C final segment. Right, no, pulling very well here. Gerard Moore. Think of the offset here, not spot mode, which is right strategy all to my mind. Or he doesn't power. Ideally, you want the likes of Smith Stalker to try and battle it behind them. There wasn't their driver who's got all opportunity for the top 4 places. As you're on this side, on Tom Stalker, still needs to clean this second this time. We've seen Claire scoring on the last couple of laps. He can keep it tight to move. That will mean that Wilson will get good on that side of them. What happened there? And that's now put him on the end of the ball. He's looking down. He's looking down. And the response is
That's very strange. I don't know if we can get a quick replay of that. I didn't see any contact. The door's open, everyone's been inside, he's going outside,
yeah.
and Smith is really struggling here.
I wonder, Andrew, the one thing that you can do, we haven't mentioned, is that two. Yeah. You don't hit it, yes, no, very point. I wonder if you just put an easy dodge, you're trying to get less possible. It's easy to the rear cut wide in front. Yeah. So easy to hit the line, just compromise, you drive off that corner.
Really just you're rollicking, and with Woodson and Stalker. It's not again, yeah. This is the point now where if you are in Woodon's case, got a decision. You try and pull top two back in, or do you back yourself to overtake, get the move, and then you've got to pull away. You've got to pull away that point. You can't allow a battle to bring Smith and Bolton back into this. Well, not minutes to go. Rabbit more do you bring the in their base. Nice steady, nice pound, 51 for Rabbit, that's around. That's right on the circuit. It's now she's doing 6,000 pace. It's 54.3 last time around. I've got a feeling that this one comes together again.
Yeah, so you can just see that, just go slightly, and you see how he's under a little pressure than he would ordinarily be.
Yeah.
And that's what's I think the slight skip to that curve, and you're on the second cars. And penalty. And that's one for Hamilton. And you know, I did wonder, Andrew, when everybody was bold, we wondered if it was a bit too bold. Oh, that's all there, and that's there, Smith, and that was Shane Cotter trying to go for it, Devil's elbow, and that's not, that was always going to be a hero zero move there, I'm afraid. It went the wrong side of that fence for Shane Cotter, and indeed, for Damien Smith, just felt he had the run into the break of that left-hander. He's going to go what he wanted to do a couple of laps previously, that's not worked well there. What it's done is, that's how you give it a ticket for Cody Richards, because Hamilton's penalty, Cody Richards, we've not really mentioned much yet, and you want to know this, but right now he's sitting on the last of the motion spots, if it plays, some 5 seconds and low from this top 4.
So 2 positions is penalty for multiple pieces of contact. So you persistent fouling in football, give you a yellow card. It's 2 positions. So if Woodson can get up to second place with number 69, Gerard Moore, he'll still qualify for the B final. As you absolutely might point out there, at the moment, if the results finish like this, Richards and Smith would be beneficiaries.
Although only Richards.
Well, maybe 2.
Yeah, no, that's still like
Yes, Smith would go to the outside.
Yeah, so he's beneficiary of this position.
Yeah. Real Shane Cotter is all there, and now penalty maybe to take out, so I'm not going to because he's the bottom of the table anyway. But he's a great decision. 2 plus 6 positions. 2 Cotter. Here's the problem. He goes to the grass as well. Head stop, drives on, laps restarts from the grass. It touches the hood, starts to it. Having pushed out back weeds. Change position for, well, they should concern the shot down behind the clan.
He's been trying to outside really understand there. I wonder how the not quite working. All right off corners results. Yeah, so he played there. Yeah, just saying. Really worried for Smith as it currently stands. But yeah, so wouldn't he get by Stalker and Moore in order to lock in his ticket to that B final? Which might look like a big ask for him to us.
He does this. It's become a very difficult final. Normally, if these 4 in have penalty, like, yeah, bring it over, nice and steady. Yes, one will get trophy, but it might be one against the defense to get more points and more prizes. But in this situation, it's going to be a race. I think Stalker's aware of that as well. He wants to try and get through. He doesn't want to have any. He wants to have to defend thing. He's feeling a little bit of pressure and the risk of one situation behind. He wants to get himself to second maybe into first and just get away from that number 41.
Absolutely, thing here is how it's hard to Cody Richards and Damien Smith because the moment it's effectively Apple over the last promotion spots. Smith has had the fastest lap of the race. On recovery now, of course. That will be quite comeback. If it's perfect that and you've still got into the top 4, he's only going to have another with these 4. And now on their final lap, it's been great control drive and don't have to absorb all this pressure. And Gerard Moore is one sitting. There is a look. That was Stalker trying to defend there. I'm not actually sure that Richards was off making the move in the quarter of that spoon curve by the way Woodson. And that might not be in his way unless he can't do in the section of track. But I'm not even pushing another time through.
Stalker did very well though. He got that ribbon of grip that I've been talking about, and the back end stepped out and he kept it together. James Ravitch practiced fantastically early in the race, and he's going to get a C-final victory as a result here at Glan-Y-Gors relief. James Ravitch, he is through, as is Gerard Moore, and Tom Stalker. Ben Woodson will not go through, he has a 2-play penalty, so Cody Richards crossed the line, and we classified 4th in that race. Damien Smith will be disappointed to be one of the worst possible. 5th place, 1 spot outside the representative through to the next final, and his play ends there. So Ben Woodson will classify 6th. The other breeze, Jonathan Fowle, Stuart Kirk, Barrow, top 10 in the C-final. Luke Elliott, Tim Door, and Jonathan Schenkel there. He at least gets the solace of fastest lap at the very end. 51.8, but that's been really costly for him.
Somebody grab Cody and make sure he knows he's made it into this final because finishing, quite out was in front of him. And he may have blocked and seen further. One of the things that you get around was you can see quite far when you're in the last section of the lap and see downhill. And you'll see 4 drives ahead of him. Could easily thought, okay, wow, 5th place was decent. You're in the B final, mate. Get in there. So we will see him again soon. In just a moment, so we'll have the B final for you here, and the 2 person spots for in that one as well for the A final. It's all still to play for those drivers. It's coming right up next here at Glan-Y-Gors.
Let's have a look at the grid then for the B final. Top 2 in this race go through to the A final. So Luke Pullen and Simon Kavanagh will be looking to hold onto those positions here on the grid. Richard Newton and Darrell Lowe are on row 2. Simon Lloyd and Dave Pethers are on the 3rd row of the grid. Matt Griffiths and Lenny Wood on row 4. Jack Cameron Drayton and Josh Pettit on row 5. Toby Sutton and Adrian Ray start on the 6th row of the grid here today at GYG for the B final. Then we find Daniel Jenkins and Lawrence Chair on row 7, Vijay Patel and Khan Bennett on row 8, Kai Crawford and James Antwis on row 9, and then Vinod Hirani and Richard Neal on row 10, Stephen Netting and Dominic Valance on row 11. And there, confirmed from the C final, James Radovich and Gerard Moore on the 12th row of the grid, Tom Stalker and Cody Richards on row 13. Big thanks to the guys here, of course, at Alpha Live and Alpha Timing for getting that information to us. And we didn't even need to check it. I don't think we've had to do that.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I was expecting to have to sort of hurriedly put a confirmed C-final result in front of you. But yeah, indeed, confirmed the top 4 then. Yeah, Radovich, Moore, Stalker and Cody Richards with that penalty for Ben Wootton in that last C-final.
What I have got for you though, mate, is what's our situation to have a little look at on A final and super heavies?
I agree.
And novices. Are we potentially going to see some trophies handed out in this B final?
Your highest placed novice from this race will be 3rd of the novices.
Okay.
2 Class 3 drivers who have very impressively made it up into the A final. In terms of Class 1 and Class 2, we've easily got plenty of those drivers up in the A final, so no podiums there. Your super heavyweights, I am just having a... This is the one where you've got to do it from memory, so I'm always a bit... I think I'm not spotting any obvious super heavies there, so I think we might be looking at your super heavyweight podium being determined in this one as well.
Unless we'll have one of the spots determined, because of course if say a novice gets through in the top two, or two novices get through in the top two, do the A final now.
One thing I want to stress, the C final, because it was the third tiered final, had just 14 runners in it. We've had grids of between 19 and 21. I want everyone to bear in mind we are about to have a grid of 26 here running into this one. So a slightly bigger field, slightly bigger pack of carts who've all got to work it out up through the sweeping right-hander into that braking zone for Spoon. There could be a few tiers here, just because of the sheer number of carts. We've seen a few moments. I'm thinking of the moment for Simon Lloyd we saw earlier. Unfortunate for him. Everyone's got to play this sensibly, Andrew, because this one is very much the mantra of you can't win it on the first lap.
Yeah, and there's quite a few drivers in this who I think at the start of the day would have hoped for an A final. They all can't make it because, as I say, there's only 2 spots open in this race to go through to the biggest final of them all here today for the heavyweights. We'll be back after... oh dear! Ooh, steady on there. That's Tom Stalker. Now, thankfully, he was on the back row of the grid anyway, because in theory that would have been a drop to the back of the field for spinning under formation.
Now that's very clever, Andrew. What he's done there is he's heard what we've said, taken it on board, and decided to get the spin there out the way.
Ah, okay.
So now he won't spin on that one. It's actually very smart strategic play there. Right, 2 tickets for the A final on offer here, and also, of course, beyond that, everyone wants to maximise the points that they can take away from today's running. So here we go. It's going to be Luke Pullen in the 45. What can Kavanagh do? We've seen some good starts from the second on the grid spot today, and away they go into the 12-minute final for the B final, in this one. It's a good, strong start from Darrell Lowe. He's looking to make up progress, but Luke Pullen, our pole sitter, has been able to retain the lead as they head up the hill for the first time. And I think someone was just sweeping up a bit of dust there towards the back, but they have all been able to make their way through cleanly enough. Some people going onto the curb, but it looked to me, Andrew, to be a largely clean start as Pullen leads them through the carousel.
Yeah, I think it was Vinod Hirani who was running a little bit wide, the 2-3 wide as they come off.
Oh, there's
the carousel, and we've got one person off in the realm already. Carts number 72, Toby Sutton, has had a contact warning, and it's absolutely ferocious there in the midfield. Everybody trying to find their way through. Cam Bennett's had a bit of a tough start there, but good start for Luke Pullen. He's got a bit of a lead here. Now, this is good. This is a really good situation to be in a B final. It's the number 80 of Stephen Netting who is out of the race. He's not out now, and we'll hope that second, third, fourth, fifth, everybody else will start fighting one another. You had nice last B final, second fastest laps, get that position locked in, and according to the time, Darrell Lowe having a look at Sonic Cannis, third place. The Aussie can organised, and could be fighting over what's in the first available in the A final.
I wonder actually, Darrell Lowe, you can see how much he was thinking about making someone down inside carousel. He always had 2 rushes. No, I'm not. And I wonder if actually make the decision from what's this stuff. Look, sort of done one. Sort of go. Simon Lloyd does. Simon Lloyd lead. That is decisive for 5 minutes. Darrell Lowe not did it for an actual miss. The race strategy, the sprint strategy takes time. Darrell Lowe is being handed on now. Show that slight nervousness to try and get through, and drivers at this level will pounce on it now. Let's see what Simon Lloyd does here. Will he work with Simon Kavanagh, or will he back himself to go through? He'll do it with the latter through into third place. Now this is a really interesting place this race. We know Simon Lloyd's credibility always will be between the 3 of them. Simon Lloyd is off, and as quickly as that, his chance of getting top 2 are gone. So Simon Kavanagh back third. Dave Feathers now in 4th place. Darrell Lowe 5th. I was slightly baffled by that one. I would have had a problem with Carl. Because I like that looked like a very unassuming yes on it, but slightly left on the grass. Caught to that extent. He has to back up again. Keep our eye out for any hands forth from Kavanagh, but it seemed to there's there. Dave Feathers getting by on Simon Kavanagh. But that was not with him. I'm not sure quite how that will possibly up.
So still quite a long way to go in this race, still more than the full duration of a heat, but at the moment it's looking very good for Luke Pullen and Richard Newton. They are out front and clear by 2.2 seconds between first and second, 2.1 between second and third.
But this is one thing, mate. They are both lone ringers at the moment,
yes.
And that's the thing. If these right behind can start to work together, they will have the advantage. It's been a great Pullen, Richard Newton in particular, a little bit nervous in his perspective, but less nervous, stuff going on. Once again, Darrell Lowe against Simon Kavanagh. He's backed himself, but it's, look at this is losing Dave Pellers to get on up the road. And actually, I suppose that's maybe that's good. You can have Dave Pellers by himself and can't be drafted, but a little bit of costly contrast going on there. I don't think anyone actually changed position out of all that. No, we've lost a lot of time. Once again, Darrell Lowe trying to tuck underneath on Simon Ballard, and I think he will have a run this time, top of the hill.
Adrian Gray is on for a very nice one here in super heavyweight, those with the green numberplates. So we believe that those heavyweights in A finals, but no, he's on for a round win in that category. And number 46 of Josh back down the inside.
Just stick on that, Toby Sutton as well, class 3 runner, although bear in mind we have got some drivers in the A finals, 2 of them at the moment, so at the moment it will be Sutton playing third slot in that class. 2.5 seconds gap to Luke Pullen has now over Richard Newton.
That's a big lap. That's a really big lap there from Luke Pullen to just solidify it. It's a good position to be in this. 51.143. It's been a bit of cloud cover. The track temperature come down. Who's in trouble? It's Stephen Netting who's left down.
He's getting out of the way actually, which is good. Heads driving through there, I think.
Dominic Valance now passed up the race. Everybody's just dropped their lap times.
Yes.
But 3.2 seconds now lead for Pullen. What is the gap doing? This is closing in. He took nearly half a second out of Newton's lead over from that time around. So the back of a second is not done yet with 6.5 minutes to go.
No, very much so. Very much not, I should say. Yeah, Jack and Drake and Dominic Valance both a good pace before the back of his pack here. And actually, that's Valance having a look side by side to develop. Not sorry, excuse me, through the last corner, excuse me. Let's go allow Valance to have a look at Simon Lloyd as well. They're still going to be all the way down the Dragon Straight. It's going to be interesting to see how they work themselves out. There's no one Richard Newton further up. But that, in the end, happened on the way. Oh, Fred Ray! Oh, it's different after this. He has no joke, but he's going, please tell me no, that crest the hill. So that is a horrible moment there, Fred Ray. Comes again now. Yeah, disappointing for him. That could shake things up for super heavyweights. We're going to have to see how those Carl Bennett and Villarani have got to off the back of that incident, as we're here now with the crucial battle of some pace. And crucially as well, Andrew, 2 consecutive fastest laps of the race, but down low. He's thinking himself into this battle as well. They're trying to find a way around the outside, come up to the top hill.
Yeah, that was rounds of pace, and he's found consistency, forces his way back into this. There's a take penalty for Lenny Wood down the inside. There goes along, that's him into third place. I wonder if that was the cause of Ray going round. I think the passage was into +4 instead of +6. Never mind that, because we've got a battle on here for second place. The final spot of 26 drivers in the A final. It's going to be one of these three, you think, with 4.5 minutes on the clock. Richard Newton under a lot of pressure here.
Well, I want to mention right now, Andrew, because anyone has a penalty running in fifth place, if these three all consist,
yep,
the battle would have to be between Head and Drake for sixth. This is why these last phase of these and then the advance to pass. So obviously we're between three, but it's why we keep fighting in these finals even now. Luke Pullen is 4.5 seconds load from this. As Darryl Lowe's over right through, and the Carousel going to go. Both of them go wide. Dave Heather's reached that beautifully to take himself up into second place. Darryl Lowe's going to try and find a way through here through the competition. Can he open the gap? He can't. And that, Andrew, is extremely good reading the situation from Dave Heather. Smart head on the shoulders there, and has gone through up at the moment into the last of the promotion spots.
How it's seen so far today that drivers can defend round here. Richard Newton, I just wonder, has he run out of gas? It's so physical out there today. So we do about how this circuit and what it does to your bodies. It's a bit different to other places. It's like somewhere like a Bay from Meadows, it's quite technical, and you feel that when you pull around here with the higher speeds, especially as you go over the top, as looking down the inside, or Peppers again, with the outside now, you pull quite a hard load on the neck, and you can feel your top end of the body can be a little bit tired if you've been doing lots of racing. I just wonder if Richard Newton has he run out of gas a bit, because it just doesn't look like he's got pace at the moment to hold these two drivers ahead.
Yeah, you're holding it through the high speed right hand at the top of the hill. He's looking stuck underneath Peppers, but he can't run away through yet. Peppers, is he going to hold it tight here, or is he going to try and take it from standard braking on around the outside? He's going to hold it tight. He knows what the threat here from Lowe's. Lowe's a good driver for the last 2 or 3 laps. Which way is he going to go this time? Assuming he has the right, he does have a bit of a run. He's going to have to try around the outside or top underneath for the switchback out of the carousel. He can't make it work yet. This is great positioning so far from David Peppers. Is there no again? I thought Lowe's was going to try to put the door there, but he can't make it. He has to do it clean, of course. Can't risk getting the penalty with it. But also, if he does have to lay back through, he has still got Newton right there with him, and Newton has been able to close up here. In all of this fighting. Further back, I should say, Cam Drayton has got by Pettit, and then he would. So he's not where he wanted to give him fifth place. He's got there on merit. So again, if this all came down, really looking to tuck underneath again here as they go through the sweet right hand. Can't make that work. Once again, Newton can take the optimal line through the corner to try and get a good drive down the next straight. Again, he'll tuck underneath. Again, he's going to have to go to the outside. This is brilliant stuff at the moment. Great defensive drive from Peppers. Great attacking driving from Darryl Lowe, and good tunism from Newton behind.
Yeah, Newton's bond here is to keep himself there and hope that something a bit rash happens up ahead. This reminding me of the drive that we saw from Paul Williams earlier that came in heat after post-race passes had been applied. Peppers is just placing his car, and it's very much a case of don't overdrive the cars around here. The way he's setting things up before carousel and making sure that on the exit he's got something to push him out the corner and get a good drive. Not only helps him to hold position through carousel, it helps him for the next corners as well as it goes compression.
We're going to have potential this, obviously. Yep. Shout out to Luke Pullen, who just controls one. We'll try to this is where the big battle is at for promotion is the A final. It's been a great drive from Pullen. It's been a great drive for frankly all three of these drivers, but who is going to take the last of these positions? Opportunities running up now for Darryl Lowe. This one's really the last place that you can really go for it. And Heather's going to cover up ahead of them. Luke Pullen is going to cross the line to take the win in the B final and bag himself a spot in the A final. He'll be joined by Dave Peppers, who finishes a brilliant drive for second place. Darryl Lowe in third, and Richard Newton. Jack Cameron Drayton, you know what? He's had some difficult heat today. That's a good drive to fifth in the B final. Josh Pettit is it, but with the penalty to be applied. Then Dominic Valance, Simon Lloyd, and he would also have to be applied. Simon Kavanagh, Griffiths, Mitchell Neal in that class 3, third in class 3. As we understand it from those who've got through into the A final, and it's VA Tom Stalker, Kai Crawford in 15th place, Daniel Jenkins in 16th, then Toby Sutton in 17th place. Carl Bennett is your highest placed super heavyweight of the day. They're finishing in 18th. But we say that provision. We're fairly certain there are no super heavyweight in our A final. It's some good stuff there from Bennett. Underlines that it was a conflict moment for Adrian Ray, unfortunately, for his perspective, that gave the super heavyweight win for the day to Bennett. Then it's James Andrews, James Radovich, good drive there, having won the C final. Vinod Herani in 21st, Lawrence Chair, Gerard Moore in 23rd, Adrian Ray in 24th, 25th, Cody Richards, and Stephen Netting. We saw having that instant early on down at carousel on the first lap. Rounds out your 26 carts of your B final.
Very good stuff. Hello to Jay Elliott, who's pleased with that result for Dave Peppers. I'm not going to read out the second comment because, Jay, you're going to get me in trouble. But very, very good stuff for both Luke Pullen and Dave Peppers. We'll see them in the A final, and that's up next.
Let's take you through the grid then for the A final here at Glan-Y-Gors Park for round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship in our heavyweight class. Richard Allen is on pole with Chris Alcock alongside, underlining how successful a morning's driving they've had. Joe Holmes and Kurt Holmes, and all Holmes second row there on this one for the A final, with Amar Brule-Smith and Tim Hill on row number 3. Row 4 is going to be Adam Wright and Alex Pritchard. Sigafoos with a good morning's racing to ninth place. And Paul Williams as well lines up within the top 10. Didn't need to come through the B final this time. He's in the top 10 for the A final there. Is Paul, Steve Bosley and Steve Lindley. And all Steve sixth row for us on the grid there. And then it's Lewis Reid and a certain Jacob Harris there on row 7 with Alexander Lamin and Harrison Wedgbury on row 8. Remember Wedgbury with a lot of penalties in his first heat, so is he a bit out of position based on where he'd be on sheer pace? Could be an interesting one to watch there. Mikey Nichols and James Bate are next up. With James Bate, I think I'm right in saying the highest place of the novice drivers coming into this one. So Class 3 is his to lose in that regard. Miguel Hall and Samuel Bensley round out your top 20. Then it's Andrew Cherry and Johnny Elliott on row 11. Anthony Ridd and Jonathan Riley on row 12. And this time we do need to confirm the top 2 finishers from that B final. So one moment. It is going to be Luke Pullen and Dave Peathers who takes us to the 26 car grid for your A final. And they are all chasing the trophies and the 130 points that the winner of this one will get in the championship. So this is where the real big points are on offer. I'll remind everybody as well, we've been talking about championship on and off to 3 dropped scores that will be taken off your championship tally. It's a bit more, it's a little more complicated than that insofar as it's the equivalent of 3 rounds worth. So in reality, it's your worst 9. Yeah, it's your worst 9 heat results, yep, and your worst 3 finals results. So it's it all adds up to 3 rounds worth of scores. Why is that done? It's to account for things that might happen that are beyond your control. It's to account for the fact that life happens and you might not be able to make every single round, but you still want to have a valid shot at the championship. Just keeps things interesting. We like it. It does keep things interesting right up until the last. It does make calculating the championship situation a little bit more complicated on the final day of the championship, but we love it because it gives us a nice close championship pretty consistently here in Club 100 Racing.
Couple of things just to remind you. Results last time out at Wilton Mill for round number 2. A final result looked like this. Anwar Barul Smith took the win. Anwar has taken both final victories so far this season in the heavyweight. Adam Wright was second. Kurt Holmes was third on the road, first in C2. Johnny Elliott was fourth overall, third in C1. Other key results from last time out to complete the C2 podium. You had Dan Underhill in 8th place and Steve Lindley in 9th place. Bill Taylor not here today. The reigning super heavyweight champion was 12th in the A final last time ahead. That meant he won in super heavyweight. He was ahead of Nicholas Walker and Lee Henderson in that regard, who finished 21st and 22nd respectively in the A final at Wilton Mill, and Andrew Hicks was also an A final finalist. Results of note in that he was the base, so that's what happened last time out.
If you're unfamiliar with the format, do not worry. We haven't just missed the start of the race whilst Andrew was running us through races past. They're getting a few warm-up laps as they are accustomed to doing in the A final here, just to make sure that all of the drivers are happy with their Club 100 Rotax Evo machinery of the racing getting underway. It will be another 12-minute final race for these 26 drivers. And then there'll be a bit of a lunch break here at the circuit, and we will get going with it all again for our lightweights this afternoon. So plenty of action for you to enjoy here on this Alpha live stream, with commentary provided by Double Dash Motorsport Media. Do hope you're enjoying it. If you are enjoying it, like, share, subscribe, get people talking about this fantastic championship. Very much a jewel of the UK karting scene, I have to say, as we're seeing a few drivers choose to switch cars. In fact, it's the two Applewood independent drivers there who are first in, of Chris Alcock and Alex Pritchard. The number 9 of Lewis Ridd as well, you could just see in the back there, going for a kart change, so they'll be unhappy with. And we should be clear, you know, it is so tight at the top here. This doesn't mean the kart's terrible, you know, the kart's bad. It means, as Richard Allen has also gone for a change there, it means that just something hasn't quite felt right for the, you know, these are the creme de la creme of our heavyweight drivers. Maybe I'll feel, it's just slightly off on the top end, which of course is so critical as a circuit like this, with such a long straight. It'll be, as Alex Pritchard is getting pumped for this, maybe they'll feel, it's just slightly off on the low end, or it just isn't, you know, all this one feels a bit stiffer than the last one I was in, and it's more my driving style, you know, little things like that. It's half about the psychology of it. You know, if you don't feel just headed in pedally with the car, you'll want to try another one, you're willing to roll the dice in that regard. You know, I have to say, and I'm saying this not as someone who's working as commentator for themselves, I'm saying this as someone who is nearly, it's coming up later this year, nearly got to 10 years of driving these Club 100 cars in some way, shape or form. They do a cracking job of keeping an even field of Club 100 go-karts in this sport, in this series, and it really is a credit to them, as that is the 20 Steve Bosley also electing to go for a kart change. So, yeah, we are talking about fine margins here that are causing these drivers to go for these changes, and if you are looking at this and thinking, this looks fun, club100.co.uk, you'll find all the details of all the various championships that Club 100 does, and I'm forever impressed by the sheer number that they're able to facilitate in a year. And you know, we were talking, you saw on the VT earlier, the Cadet Championship, the Junior Championship. There's the standard package with the Endurance, the SB60, and the Sprints. There's the Club 100 Experience Series that there's also, and we obviously are familiar with the British University's Karting Championship, which is run on Club 100 machinery. It is very, very impressive, the amount of stuff. And if you would like to have a go, I cannot stress, like, do it. Okay, do it. That's my personal, that's all I have to say on the matter. I don't think you'll regret it. Club100.co.uk. Give the office a call as well for details, and they'll be happy to help.
B and C final winners had very controlled drives at the front. What are we going to see here in the A final? Round 3, heavyweights here for Club 100 Sprints 2022 are go. That was a very, very keen start from Chris Alcock on the outside from second place, but they're side by side. A team happy about with something straight away. Joe Holmes trying to push through into P2.
I'll tell you what he's not happy about, Andrew. He rolled the dice, and I wonder if it's just twitch for him that his kart doesn't feel too good on the top end.
Quite possibly. Everyone's having a bit of a chat with one another. One driver off in the background. I think it's the 105 of Harrison Wedgbury.
Was it too good for Chris Alcock across the line, Andrew? I'm just going to ask that question, because as it's coming up right now on timing, it shows him slightly ahead of the pole sitter across the line, but we'll wait for that to be confirmed. They've got several ways in which they try and work that one out. So we'll have to wait and see on that one as they work their way down through the compressions and Devil's Elbow for the first time. Tim Hill has to go defensive here against Callan Sigafoos as they come to cross the line at the end of that one.
That was 3 karts off.
Andrew Cherry was 1.
Yeah, and here goes Joe Holmes. Look at the inside, falls onto the grass there by Dickie Allen. That was a very aggressive move across, and Dickie Allen retains the lead. Harting now stuff for the ring champion. Here comes Anwar Barrel-Smith down the inside. It's not been the perfect day for him so far, fighting with Adam Wright. Adam Wright keeps it in there, but Anwar Barrel-Smith is well positioned up to P3. Change for the lead. Joe Holmes down the inside of Richard Allen through Carousel, and the number 1 is in P1.
Bit of housekeeping. Andrew Cherry, Sam Bensley, Anthony Reid and Alexander Lemon, I think, all involved in an incident on that first lap. Unfortunately for them, they're towards the back of this field, as Adam Wright having to defend now against Kurt Holmes, down through Devil's Elbow. Lovely move from Joe Holmes. And I think that aggression from Dickie Allen there, Andrew, I don't think he's too happy. Just with the very top end, just at the very end of the straight, I think he feels he's a little